You know, we're talking like.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the. Oh, thank you. Welcome to the. What is the date today? That says Tuesday, October. Thank you. 8th.
I never know how many.
Wednesday, October 8th meeting of the Select Board. We call this meeting to order. If you could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As a reminder to folks, this meeting is being recorded. So first we will start with the reading of the Indigenous Peoples Day Proclamation. So this says, whereas instead of commemorating conquest today, here in the town of Swampscott, we recognize our history. And since time immemorial, people indigenous to the lands we now call Swampscott built communities, fostered culture, and stewarded the land sustainably. And whereas for the first time in our town's history, we recognize indigenous people here and anywhere in the United States, as we pay respect to the cultures and populations that existed long before European contact with this land. So too, we celebrate the contributions of all indigenous peoples to the culture of diversity, innovation, and resilience that has had an indelible impact on the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And whereas the town of Swampscott recognizes that the indigenous people of the lands later known as the Americas have lived on these lands since time immemorial, and we honor the fact that Swampscott has been built upon the traditional and ancestral homes of Native Americans referred to as Numkeg, thank you, and called Swampscott the land of Red Rock. And whereas Indigenous Peoples Day was first proposed in 1977 by a delegation of Native nations to the United Nations sponsored International Conference on Discrimination Against Indigenous Populations in the Americas. And whereas the town of Swampscott is committed to protecting and advocating for justice, human rights, and the dignity of all people who live, work, and visit our community, and to supporting the principles contained in the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, the declaration endorsed by the United States on December 16, 2010. And whereas the Declaration of Human Rights recognizes the right of indigenous peoples to the dignity and diversity of their cultures, traditions, histories, and aspirations, which shall be appropriately reflected in education and public information, and places an obligation to take effective measures in consultation and cooperation with the indigenous peoples concerned to combat prejudice and eliminate discrimination, and to promote tolerance, understanding, and good relations among indigenous peoples and all other segments of society. And now, therefore, on behalf of the entire Select Board, we do hereby proclaim October 13th, 2025 as Indigenous People Day in the town of Swampscott, Massachusetts, and encourage all faith-based, nonprofit organizations, residents, businesses, and public institutions to acknowledge, honor, value, and celebrate Indigenous peoples' historic and current contributions locally and beyond, while also recognizing the ongoing and interconnected struggles of all Indigenous communities locally and beyond. In witness hereof, we have hereunto set our hands and caused to be affixed the Great Seal of the town of Swampscott, Massachusetts, this 8th day of October, 2025, by the Swampscott Select Board. So I think I mentioned last time, we read these proclamations and then we move on to the next topic because we have a lot on our agenda, but it's important that we reflect on what those words mean and how we conduct ourselves in those words. And I do want to let everybody know that at the farmers market this past weekend, we had an Indigenous Peoples celebration, which was really lovely. Some singing and dancing. There was also a children's craft activity that worked through. It was quite lovely, and so I just wanted to acknowledge that, you know, it's not just about proclamations, it's about learning and making sure that we are actioning on the words we speak. So we are going to move on to the town administrator's report.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm planning to sort of change this up a little bit, and I've had some initial discussions with members to sort of understand that, but in light of the fact that I'm new and I'm getting up to speed, I wanted to give a little rundown of what my week has been like this week, and not just recite the things that Gino and the team have completed prior to my even coming here. So I have a little bit put together. The idea that I was planning going forward, and I'm happy to take feedback, is that I will have sort of high-level highlights, talk about events and hiring and things that might be going on, but the report will still be compiled as is. You'll receive it in your packets, and it'll be posted for residents to review as well, which is usually on Thursdays that it gets posted online, I believe. So people can still track what's going on in the deeper report, but we can spend a little more time here on high-level things or on questions that you all may get out of the report that's given to you. So giving you a rundown of the week, first I want to add to the thanks that have been shared with Gino. I know you all thanked him at the last meeting when I was appointed, but any transition is difficult. He's handled it both on the front end and the back end. It has been really great for me in the days that I've been here and leading up, and it's very clear from meeting with the staff that he did everything he could to support them during the time he was wearing multiple hats. So I want to start by just saying thank you, and thank you to you, Gino, from me, from the staff, and as they expressed in the department head meeting, I think they really appreciated all the work that you did.
Thank you.
Sure. So just to talk a little bit more about sort of what's been going on, I've started meetings with some elected officials, the folks at the table, chief among them, and department heads individually, but we had our first department head meeting today. Really basic for me, the conversation that I wanted to have with them. It's things that I didn't want to have go unsaid. There's a few key messages. Be on time, be responsive, do our best to respond as soon as possible. The real goal is within a day or so. Understanding there's staffing and resource constraints, that's something I asked them to flag for me, if there's anything that can be done to speed that up or if that's an issue. But it's something that I think is an absolute baseline expectation. I want to make sure they understand it's something I have, and I know it's been shared in different ways and in different words by folks up here at this table. So that was number one. I let them know that there'll be a regular cadence of department head meetings. The first one that I'm going to have with each of them is to learn about their organization, caught issues either that they've had identified by elected officials, with HR, ongoing issues that have, sort of knots that need to be untied, to see what I can do to help with those things that may have been sort of lingering over time because everyone was just doing their best to continue to move the ball forward. And there'll be an ongoing effort by me to get out to actually be with the different departments. I want to do skip level meetings, meet folks that are below just the department head. I want to know people below just the department and the deputy or assistant. So that we can start to identify, future leaders, people that we can help develop if they're interested in that. And I want to have those conversations directly and hear about things that they think are challenges or opportunities. I also let them know finally that my interest is to begin the initial discussions around the budget maybe earlier than normal, so that it will give me an opportunity to get up to speed, but certainly also an opportunity to share with you all as I gather information and we compile things, where we are in the process and what the projections look like, knowing that everything firms up as we move throughout the year. And at this point, it is very much projections on revenue and projections on spending, but really just starting to get our arms around that. The last message that I mentioned individually with folks, I've done it as I've spoken to you all and with department heads, and I think this is important for the community at large. My door is open to volunteers, elected officials, appointed officials, residents, anyone who has a question. At this point, I will probably not have the initial answer when someone has a question, just to be fair. I'm going to disappoint you if you come in looking for the answer when we have a first discussion. But that's something that I'll get up to speed with quickly. But I want people to know that, whether it's through Diane's office or through mine, right, the door that's right there, we're here to help. I want to get up to speed quickly. The best way for me to do that is to hear from everyone, and not just the individuals at this table or at any other elected board. I want to go outside of that group, and I welcome those conversations. In addition, I would love to talk, and I think Katie, you and Danielle had mentioned in the past the idea of a regular round of outreach that I can do, and I'd love to hear from folks where that might be good outside of being at an event. Like, what is an opportunity that I can sort of sit there and, for lack of a better terms, have office hours to meet someone, hear concerns, and have discussions with them and understand what's important. On the staff side, a couple things that I do want to pull out of the report. I think some of them may have been discussed when Gino was last here, but There's a couple of positions that we're, in the interview process right now, public safety admin, customer service rep, and rec coordinator. We're moving through those as we go. And in addition, over the last couple of weeks, there's been a few new hires. Again, I apologize if I'm repeating them. Tim Milliken, the new land use planner. Nathaniel Snow is our library head of technical services. Whitney Wilkinson is the new library aide. And then Kevin Kaufman was hired as a police officer and will be going into the academy on the 14th. So I'll continue to refine this. I want feedback. I want to know what you guys would like me to focus on, but I wanted to really dial in the amount of information that we have. We still share that, but we focus this time on things that are important to you guys if you have questions that are prompted, or if you can redirect me to make sure I include things that you'd like to hear. And with that, I think Gino and I are here to answer any questions that may have come out of this report, if you all have any.
I do have one. Thanks for those comments.
Sure.
I think this may be for Gino. So.
Most likely is.
So on the UV pilot. Yep. And the draft, and it says Kleinfelder has completed the final draft report. The Kings Beach UV pilot study has been reviewed by both the City of Lynn and Town of Swampscott stakeholders. It's currently being reviewed by Mass DEP. I anticipate the final draft being released by the end of the week. I'm trying to understand, they're reviewing it technically, just kind of the order of things in terms of us getting it last before it goes to Mass DEP, I guess is my question.
Well, Mass DEP was a stakeholder from the beginning. I got a call from Eric Wall from Mass DEP because the city Lynn was ready to release it, and he just didn't think that was a good idea. He wanted to make sure that all our assumptions were on the same page, and we're going to be on the same page going forward. So that's why we agreed. Initially, we were going to release it this week, but after talking with him and talking to the mayor, we decided to let them look it over before we release it.
Got it. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question on that as well. It says Town of Swampscott stakeholders. Did the Water and Sewer Commission review that?
They have not seen it yet.
So who are the Swampscott stakeholders?
Me?
So it should be
Stakeholder.
Swampscott stakeholder?
Yeah.
All right.
It's representative of many of us.
Okay.
Well, actually, there was another stakeholder too. Liz Smith has been a part of the group there, so she's seen it as well.
But Liz is not on the committee.
No.
And we do have the Water and Sewer. So is the Water and Sewer Committee getting this report?
They will get it right when you guys get it as well. Yeah, they're not going to see it prior to that.
Okay.
Liz Smith's role was, I made her an administrative assistant. She's been involved with it from day one.
Mm-hmm.
So it was important for her to see that.
Okay. And then I have a question on,
Ma'am,
I'm good.
can we,
In
would
the
it be
same
appropriate?
vein, go ahead.
Would it be, yes,
Yes, please.
would it be appropriate for us to have that on the next agenda? Is it warrant that level
Oh, yeah.
of review at that point?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I would assume there will be some sort of compilation of information that could be rolled out in a little PowerPoint or something so that we can understand.
Yeah, right
What
now
we
it's a
invested in.
32-page report.
Yeah,
I'm sure. I'll forward you all 32 pages.
I'm just wondering if the Water and Sewer Commission should get it first and then we jump in after.
Come with their review.
Yeah, I think
Mhm.
I'll come in after them,
It's basically just facts,
whatever.
yeah.
Okay.
At-
the
at
data
this-
that we collected.
I guess they didn't have much participation in the process, so there may be some reaction to it, and they're welcome to comment on it. But I would assume that the folks who sort of facilitated it would be the ones who are presenting it. But we can flesh out the details.
Yep, and the next steps going forward.
Yeah, the next steps. Yeah. Anything else? You said you had a follow-up?
No, I think I'm good. The only question I'm gonna have is with the hiring, at what point, I think we have to have a discussion at what point on, right now we're advertising for a town accountant, and I think we should have a discussion about making a change on that as far as a director of finance, and what arena do we do that in? How do we go about doing that?
I think you want to look the other way.
I think, I was waiting, thank you for, I think from my standpoint, it would be useful, knowing that that's something that you'd like to discuss, for me to do some research and be able to come in with a recommendation that's backed up by having spoken to both individuals and looking at the employment landscape in the area, as opposed to jumping into it before I can do the survey in advance, and that way have some information. You guys can have an informed discussion about what direction you'd like to go in, if that works.
Whatever works, I just want to have this conversation as soon as possible.
Okay.
Get that going.
Right, to that point, I mean, I just do want to say that I think some background work needs to be done, right? To understand whether it's town accountant, finance director, senior accountant, whatever you want to call it, right? Could be a multitude of things. So I think that if Nick puts some time in to actually understanding our situation and municipalities neighboring, you know, what they're looking at, what they do, just so we're sure we get the right actual JD and scope for what we need. That makes sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, we lost multiple people in that department, so, I mean, there's, when we.
Structure.
The structure maybe now's right for analyzing and seeing if it works for you and for us. So I think we need to think about that now more than ever.
Sure.
So.
Yep, supportive and, yeah, I mean, I think some background, a memo, and then if we can add that to our next agenda to discuss, that would be fantastic.
Great.
Awesome.
Okay, one last town administrator report item, if you wouldn't mind. I will take some liberties here to say this will fall under the TA report, which is we have a little presentation of appreciation for Mr. Cresta for his hard work as interim TA. We have procured a lovely bowl made by the infamous John Picarello from the tree out of Linscott Park. So it is both meaningful and beautiful. And we want to present this to Gino on behalf of all his hard work.
I don't think you get another one. You go around chopping down trees, just get more bowls.
Yeah, well, he can't, he's the tree warden, so he's not allowed to chop any more down. Oh, we want to take a picture? Diane says we need to take a picture, so let's get a picture. Yeah, for Jody's newsletter.
Katie's gonna cook something to fill the bowl.
That's right. I'll just go apple picking. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's come this way. Yeah, come in the middle. All right, scooch in, guys. Scooch in, please. Perfect, thank you. He knows where to bring it for cardboard day.
I don't want to spoil the flow there, but that last conversation about the positions, maybe I just missed it, but we have the town accountant and assistant town accountant posted,
We do.
Yes.
right? And that last conversation sounded a little bit like we wanted to come back and talk about it next time, about the structure. But meanwhile, we have interviews going on. We don't want to slow this down, do we?
Well, do we have interviews going on?
I don't know that we have.
Well, that's what it says right here.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we can still assess the field, right, and continue the interviews, but that doesn't mean that we're hard pressed to stay within that confine, because from my understanding, I don't think we have a lot of, we've had this open for a considerable amount of time with not a lot of response. Right? Oh, yeah, I see.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean that we won't necessarily restructure it based on maybe some thoughts from the new TA.
Yeah, I think anytime there's a new leader in town that we should reconsider, and if we haven't hired the position and there needs to be a reconsideration, we could talk about it. And if there doesn't need to be, and we're all on the same page, then
You might land with one of those anyway, right?
great.
We shouldn't stop the process, but just take a fresh set of eyes, take a look at it.
Yeah, just want to make sure we weren't sending mixed messages about, like, are we continuing or not, or, you know.
And also, I forgot to mention this, but I think it would probably make sense to speak to finance for their input, right? Because it supports the finance committee and they have considerable interaction with this role, so that might help also.
Okay, we will now move to public comment. We invite, excuse me, any person to come up for public comment. Please state your name and your address, and then public comment will be limited to 3 minutes. If some, Danielle, would you mind just keeping time,
Yeah,
because my phone.
You got it, yep.
We have anybody? Oh.
Good evening. My name is Louis Zulo, 48 Farragut Road, Swampscott. On behalf of the Rec Commission and in celebration of Italian Heritage Month, on October 19th at the Farmers Market, we will be doing a celebration tying in Italian heritage into the Farmers Market and doing a celebration. There will be Sicilian arts and crafts for the kids. There will be some Italian vendors that will be showing up to kind of have a little of their product on display. There'll also be some Italian performers that will be coming to perform. So it's going to be hopefully we get some nice weather, and it'll be hopefully a nice day to celebrate Italian heritage and tie it in with the farmers market, and kind of wanted to make this announcement so that we could get everybody to come and have a good time and celebrate.
Nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shizula. Ms. Lau.
Before the timer starts, if I could just do my public service announcement for Master Plan Committee, I would appreciate it. Okay, so October 16th is our last open house for Master Plan. It is our third open house. The first one we had, I'd say about 50 people. The second one, about 30. So we hope to at least get 80. So if folks could please come out, we'd appreciate it. We didn't have a super robust response to our survey. So we hope that the couple of surveys that are out there now that are on our, town website will be responded to a bit more briskly. I'm going to give my plug that what our community has to say is really important. So I do hope you come to this, and I do know that there's another meeting ahead of it at 6 o'clock. Ahead of this on October 16th for the Glover. So as much participation and everything is certainly helpful. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no additional comments, we will move on to old and new business. The first item on the agenda was climate action, and they had some emergency scheduling problems, so we are tabling that item until 2 weeks from now. And in lieu of that, I will bump up the conversation on the memo of understanding for the Clark School. So if we could start there, that would be great. Who wants to start? Oh, you guys need a mic. Would you mind? Bob, would you mind passing your mic back too? Because I think the rec director's behind you.
Oh.
Thank you. Perfect.
Thanks, everyone. Max Casper, Facilities Director, here with Jason Kalishman, the Superintendent. We're back here discussing the MOU between the town and the school department for the recreation use of the Clark Building. If you recall, we met almost a year ago on the same subject. We weren't able to finalize it at that time, but there have been some changes in leadership in the rec department, and a new look taken to the agreement, and it's back before you for your consideration. I think you have the MOU. It's substantially similar to the one that we had last year. And happy to answer any questions on it.
Maybe we can just hear from the rec director, if she doesn't mind.
Sure. My first time.
Welcome.
No, upon becoming the recreation director, I have lofty goals for the program. I have increased programming quite a bit. I know a lot of people have noticed. I've been listening. I held open office hours, and I heard from a lot of residents just about what they have an appetite for. One thing that Swampscott Recreation has always done really, really well is kids. We have amazing programming for our kids. A lot of it tends to be in the summertime. So that's one thing that I know, we're continuing and we will expand on. Then there's an untapped sort of audience, folks that are parents of young children that want to get out at night, learn something new, whether it's a craft or a workshop. And then there's, others, folks that are a little bit older where the senior center might not be appropriate for them, or perhaps they don't think of themselves as a senior where they might be a senior. And so I really want to build upon the programming, and I need the space to do it. I have lofty goals. But on the flip side, this would be a test run, right? Everyone is excited about it. I'm excited about it. I've heard, people that have seen this on the agenda are super excited about it. The Clark is a perfect location. We're using it already. We've used it in previous years for Park League. I've used it thanks to the Jason and the team for allowing me to use it for the Jewish holidays when school was closed. We had 52 kids in there for Yom Kippur. We had 24 in there for Rosh Hashanah. So there's a great, and I haven't even gone to the second floor. That's just on the first floor. Some ideas that I would like to host in there would be ongoing clubs and classes, Friday nights where kids can go and hang out. One of the ideas that came up on Facebook from my sort of impromptu poll was when DPW floods, to make an ice skating rink, let's open up the gym and have concessions in there, games. I came into this job with really big ideas, as many of you know, and I want to continue to do that, but I need the space to expand. The rec assistant role will help me do that, of course, helping with programming and even staffing some of these. But I'm excited at the idea of it. I wouldn't say that I'm, a little cautious, of course, but, we won't know what we won't know until we give it a try. And I think that the town, we're really lucky that we have a space like this to use, and I know that people would like to use it. So I think in partnership with the schools, I think we'll be able to accomplish that. And I think I'm a great tenant for the schools versus giving it to an outside group. I think keeping it in the town and benefiting the residents of this town is probably our number one goal. And I think I can do that. And I'd love to use it.
Great, thank you. So the MOU is short and sweet. Does anybody have any questions? David?
Yeah, a few questions. It talks about the town will pay all utility costs associated with the main Clark School building. Max, can you give us that number for last year, what that entails?
I can. Obviously, the number is dependent on how it is used. So, 2 years ago, the building was used as a school, and there's a certain amount of utility costs. And then last year, it was a vacant building. If you hold on 2 minutes, I'll give you both total numbers.
I have them there.
Max, I looked on MEI is that accurate, the bills for Eversource and Grid that are entered?
It probably is. Does it have dollar values on them as well?
Yeah.
We also compiled them recently while we were discussing it with Charlotte. Charlotte, should you have that handy?
Yeah, so FY25 numbers are 36,952, and FY24, and to Max's point, that's when the school was being used for roughly half of the year, that's $48,279.
So are you saying that for utilities, last year when the building was empty, you paid just short of 37?
Yeah.
And what about maintenance? What did you have to pay for
School department
maintenance?
still covering the maintenance, but what was the,
What did you have to, oh, so the school, you're saying the
Yeah,
school
the
department will take
district
it?
will maintain
Okay, so the only
existing
thing
building
we're,
systems.
the only thing we're talking, so you would absolutely, so you would have 36.9 in your current budget to cover this year at least?
You talking to the school
schools?
department?
Yes,
this was not, we did not budget for utilities for this year.
so what was the plan on paying the utilities?
Well, there were two plans. There was the ideal plan, which is happening, hopefully, that the rec department takes it over, but if not, we were gonna put it out to bid to see if there was an outside agency that was interested in the facility.
So you're saying the schools had absolutely no plan, you put nothing in the budget to pay for utilities, you were just gonna
We were right-
hope that you could rent it out?
Well, we have a lot of interest in renting it out, so I
Right.
think we were pretty confident that we could rent it out if need be.
Okay,
But we were trying to be fiscally responsible in that the idea was by at least this time, we'd have it rented out, worst case scenario in November or whatever. And we didn't want to budget for something that wasn't going to be utilized.
Okay, but to Mary Ellen's point, I mean, someone's paying the bills right now, right? Schools are paying right now, right? So that's a kind of a negative in your budget then?
Unfunded.
It is currently, but
Yeah,
if, like hypothetically, I don't want this to happen. I want the rec department to use it, but if not, we have people that are interested. So that was always, we knew that people were interested.
no, I'm
Max
just
and I
talking
were
about
meeting
these
with
5 months that have already happened, right? You're
So
paying
I think,
Well, July.
we reviewed this with Cheryl. At the time that the school department's budget was developed, there was an expectation that Clark was going to be occupied at that time by the rec department. Now, there was also.
By July 1.
Well, yeah, I mean, we had an MOU last year that was going to begin in the fall for the rec department.
but that got shut down. Right, so I don't,
But we
I mean,
created.
it's
our
news to
budget.
me that, I'm happy, because as you know, I was very supportive this last year, but it's news to me that this was even on a possibility, so.
But,
Why would it be news to you, though? It was your idea a year
It's
ago.
my idea a year ago, but it was shot down, so why would I think it was?
But it was shot down by a former
So-
rec director who didn't have the authority to shoot it down. So why wouldn't it be revisited with a new TA and a new rec director?
It's news to me that this is new, so they had information, I don't have the information. I'm happy that we're having this discussion, I just want to make sure that, we have a really clear plan, and that the revolving account isn't, put in a tough situation. I mean, that was the big thing that was brought forward last year. And, I respect that. I respect what the recreation director had to say last year, so.
Well, and also, I just want to be clear, it's a simple question. Who's paying for the utilities for the first 5 months of this year?
The school
Right now, the
department-
school department,
Like,
Thanks.
school
But
has
you
it.
didn't have a budget for.
it'd just be
Right.
4 months.
Okay.
for something
all right,
that you're not using.
Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
Because at the time, we thought.
I get it.
At the time we
I get
built the budget, we thought that it would be utilized right now, either by rec or by somebody from the outside.
Which the time you did the budget for this year was probably February, March of last year, when this was a
I think
done
even-
deal,
I think even
right?
before that, yeah.
Yeah, which was pretty much a done deal on.
Yeah,
think it was
we
December.
discussed that.
By
at the
some
exact
people's
point. Like, the
impression.
budget actually begins to be developed
Right.
in November of,
So why would you anticipate having to budget for it? You wouldn't.
that's the point, yes.
Yeah,
And if we did budget for it, and then
right,
somebody else took it over,
right.
then it looks like we're not. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's sort of, in my opinion, a little bit of a red herring, right? Like, because we're talking about it because people want to know, like, is it in your budget? If it's in your budget, then why should rec have to pay for it? But it's not, so, and rec is willing to come to the table. I'm sure that this is only a 1-year MOU, so if the worst thing that could happen is there are $0 added to rec department's budget. I don't think that'll happen, but say there are, and you're out somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000-ish, and then you never make this mistake. Now, that's an expensive mistake to make. I'm not belittling that, but I'm just saying, like, without risk, there's no reward. So perhaps we go forward and support the rec director's request and the request of the school and see if it works out. And I mean, we could even come back in 6 months and have a projection of
Well,
whether or not they're gonna-
at the time last year, the Director of Finance said that we could anticipate 40,000, but that really would probably be an understatement, but that the revolving account should be able to sustain $60,000 without really, feeling any type of pinch. So that's what the Finance Director said last year, that she felt that the cushion to try it last year was there.
Okay, I'm getting more and more confused as we talk about this. So the idea sounds great, okay, in a vacuum. But is the revolving fund paying for this?
Yes.
I didn't even hear that.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only,
Correct.
they
Well,
don't
it
have
doesn't say
this
that.
much in their line item.
Well, it doesn't say it. I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of inferring that that's what's happening. Is that the plan? Okay, so I didn't hear that. Are we expecting programming to pay for that? Or, I mean, I have no financial understanding of what's happening.
Do we ever have a financial understanding of what's going on with rec revolving, to be quite honest? I don't think we have in the past, but my question would be, it kind of is.
Well, we're starting new, so it seems like a reasonable thing to ask.
My question would be, what is the balance in the rec revolving? Does anybody happen to know that answer?
Well, I asked a question first, Danielle, with all due respect, okay?
Oh,
It's just
I
a
mean,
straightforward
yes,
question.
the idea is
Goes
that,
right to your question, Doug.
the idea is that the rec revolving fund would essentially pay the utilities for this, in turn from, costs from programs, or proceeds from programs, rather. So the idea is to fill programming, much more than we have in the past, and that way we would, utilize the building. It's not to say, though, and I think this was Katie, to Katie's point, if in 6 months, we've said, okay, we've got some great programming going on, but it's not yielding as much money, then we can think about and revisit. I'm sure there are, and I don't know this, and maybe this is for a further discussion, but there could be possibilities of utilizing the building with other departments and town departments, whether if the senior center ever needed overflow space or whatever, if there was ever a need. But I guess my dream for this space is to hold on to it super tight and fill it with amazing programming that benefits everyone in this town. And that's what a lot of rec departments have. They have a space to call home where they can have programming. And is it risky? Sure. But is it going to Mary Ellen's point, is it going to strap my budget down to nothing? No. And so I feel very strongly that we should give it a try, and that, I feel that, the town would really benefit from it.
Have you, have you put together like a pro forma of what you think as far as programs, just to give yourself a little bit of comfort,
I have an idea of what it would take from, rec has 2 types of programming: in-house programming that we make the most profits off of. So meaning we have someone who we hire, could be a town employee already. We have some great folks that, not town employee, but someone that we employ to run classes. Like our nature art class is an amazing class. We really like it. We make great profit off of those. But then we have others like chess and robotics where we bring in folks. Those ones have a less of a profit because, we're bringing outside folks. So my goal would be to have a combination of the two. I can look up what we yielded from just those 3 days from the no school days, and just to give an example. But, obviously doing the math, I would want to come up with as much program as possible to at least cover the utilities. I don't have that prepared yet, Mary Ellen, but I would for sure.
I mean, because it sounds like the only options here are, you issue it to another entity, I know Lynn School was interested at one point, someone brought that up. I don't know who else you have. Or we try to take it over ourselves and get something going, which I think if you put together some type of a pro forma, you might be able to minimize, what your stress is really going to be, and, make people feel a little bit more comfortable.
Sure.
I know that was a lot of stress. I think, Danielle.
Charlotte, do you know the balance of the rec revolving account?
Yes, I just got it.
To answer?
Yep, hold on one
Thanks,
second.
Katie.
Sorry, Danielle.
David, in the meantime.
Yeah, no, in the meantime, qualitatively, I'm supportive of this. I think increased programming for kids, adults, seniors, overflow, I think that's great. For me to get comfortable here, I just want to see some of the numbers. I know that, I know when the town invested in stand-up paddle boards, for instance, I don't believe the rec department, has recouped that cost through programming as of yet, and I think that was.
They absolutely have.
I don't believe they
We'll
have.
we'll look at the numbers.
I don't believe they have, but
Okay.
I'm just, my concern is, I just want to see the numbers. We can put this on our next agenda and take a look. I would feel comfortable having that quantitative analysis, because I do want to make sure that, this rec revolving account is preserved. I know we have new leadership. I know we have a new recreation director. Again, supportive of the qualitative nature. I just think a little bit more work needs to be done, so we have a better understanding of what those numbers are for this programming. That's going to be a whole lot of programming to cover these utility costs, which, more or less is $40,000.
As the liaison to rec, I can answer that question. Mary Ellen is correct. They have recouped that from the stand-up paddle boards. I have already, as the rec liaison, I've already vetted that. That's something I looked into maybe 4 months ago, honestly.
Okay.
And I've been involved with this because I am the liaison. So to your point for that one, for the stand-up paddle boards, that is something Mary Ellen is accurate about.
Okay.
I do think that it's a constant theme in this town that we're running out of space. We're running out of space for senior activities. We have families and parents and people in town craving more recreation, more programming. We did something so simple as flooding the field at Clark to go ice skating, and people were through the roof, right? I think if you ask anyone in this town, they are dying to do more things. Take a look at the flag football league from the summer that had over 70 people participate in probably a 30-day window, right? So I don't think this is a stretch, is what I'm trying to say. And the last thing that I personally want to see is the school department or anyone have to go put this out to RFP and have people from other towns have to come in and utilize something that is ours, that we potentially will want to use in the future, be it for a community center, a senior center, the middle school, whatever, affordable housing, right? We talked about using it for the housing department. So the last thing I want to see is, and I hate to sound this way, but someone come in outside of town and have a use for it when we have a use that we have spoken about for years. This rec director, the former rec director, constantly would beat the drum of we don't have a space, and absolutely true to both of their points, right? I often felt badly for the former rec director because she was always looking for a home. She had to use storage space, she had to use Reach Arts, like whatever she could find. So now we have that. We have that option. We had it last year. We were pretty much ready to pull the trigger last year. And, why we would not do it again, I don't know. So that's my take.
Well, I suppose, that's maybe like one of the questions, which is that we already do have Reach Arts. And so when we don't really have a sense exactly of how much programming space we need, one could say, well, we already have that building. Why does the town need to take on the utility costs and the maintenance around Clark if maybe all we need is Reach Arts? Maybe we need a lot more. That's great. It would just be good to kind of just get a sense of, what is the volume of programming that we're thinking about, and do we think that we're in the realm of raising $40,000, or is it 80, or is it 10? I think just being a little bit more eyes wide open.
Sure.
I think some of the activities just can't be done at Reach Arts, like pickleball, like any sort of
Gymnasium
inclusive gymnasium activities. Like Reach Arts will never be the answer because it doesn't have a gym, right? So
Okay, I had no idea. It sounds like you know what the activities are. I have no idea.
Well, no,
what
I
those
just
are.
heard, I mean, I
Yeah.
saw, if you saw on Facebook, Charlotte put out a
Yeah.
call for ideas for what future rec director could do, and one person wrote, and then 57 people commented below, pickleball, indoor pickleball during the winter. So that's a great, Clark would be a great space for that.
24
It's not 24-hour
24-hour
pickleball
pickleball.
inside.
Right.
And so,
We'll make our
and-
numbers.
And quite frankly, those are all people who have potential ability to pay for pickleball. So
Right.
that's a great way for us to facilitate a need of the community and also a need of the school, and also pay for,
I mean, one other thing to note, we actually had to go outside last year for third and fourth grade basketball that the rec program ran, and we had to actually sublet space from Salem State because we did not have enough gym space in this town. So parents had to cart their kids over to Salem State, where we paid for space and probably took a loss on a program, when we have a gymnasium that we could utilize to run that this year. So that, I mean, that was thousands of dollars worth of fun.
Yeah. Minutes ago, right
Yeah.
now, but, like,
yeah, I mean, I
so
just think,
Just
I
a
think
little
it's sim-
outline,
I
you
think it's
know?
simple. I think that we just turn around and take a forecasted burn rate. Charlotte looks into her magic bag of tricks there and says, these are the programs I think I can run. You might even have somebody in town that wants to sponsor a room for an art room or something like that. There's a lot of different things, so I think we could come back, if we
There's
could
a-
come back with a pro
yeah.
forma, I'm happy to put some elbow grease into this.
okay, great.
Same.
So,
I can just answer the question
Oh, thank
about
you.
what is in the rec revolving.
Please.
It's 276,978.
Okay.
So that's after, so just so you, this number gets quite large in the summer because of all the amazing programming that happens, Park League and things like that. So the number, I talked to Patrick today, the number tends to be a little bit lower right now, and then it continues to grow, obviously, as the time goes on. But I guess just to everyone's point on the programming, I will come back to you with ideas of what I think could be. I can even try to forecast what the cost. I thought about Reach Arts. Reach Arts was actually like, I was like feeling really great about Reach Arts, but then a couple things. I will have it for less time based on Pine Street, and I would hate to make a home and then get evicted from that home relatively quickly. And it's not entirely accessible where Clark is, which is great. And I like the outdoor space. So during our recent no school days, kids were able to have lunch outside. They got to go out for recess, which was really fun because the slime workshop went from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., which parents loved because essentially it was a full school day. But they got to go outside for recess. They had lunch outside. And so you kind of can't beat Clark for all of those reasons. We're doing Learn to Roller Skate is happening at Clark right now. That's happening on the hot top. There's a lot of things you can do at Clark that, Reach Arts would not be able to. But I did think about it. I also thought about just walking away from it, but my conscience, I really couldn't. I just feel like we just got to give it a try. So.
And we have a rec committee meeting next week, and during that meeting, we will get more input too from the rec committee members and what their thoughts are, and we'll put together a list of programming and bring it back for the next agenda.
Nick, can you find out what the legality as far as if we wanted to issue an RFP to possibly rent out a room there to have a sponsor? Say,
Yeah.
Katie's gas station wants to sponsor 2 rooms and just donate those rooms
I'll let them
for
know.
2 months for arts and crafts or something like
Yeah.
that.
And
Do we issue an RFP? Just,
I want to work with Jason on that as well, because I believe you still have you have custody of it, and we're licensing the use, basically.
Yep.
So, yeah, happy to look into that.
Okay.
As a parallel track to the business plan idea that Charlotte's talking about as well, so that we'll have both answers.
okay.
Yeah, so that's a great point, Nick. Like talking about custody of the actual building, custody will not pass from the school to the town. They will just lease to the town the ability to use it, and we will be responsible for the
Sublease.
maintenance as outlined. Is that right? So who will be keeping the insurance? You guys?
Town pays all
Town
insurance
pays
for all
the
buildings
insurance.
anyways.
Okay. Okay, great.
Just one other thing
And
to
it's
note.
still actively insured even though it's a vacant building?
Yes.
Okay, great.
It might be more expensive.
It's more expensive as a vacant
I
building.
bet,
Okay. Well, I just didn't know because if it's empty and,
vandalism and things.
Right.
yeah.
So it'd be cheaper if people are paying
Exactly.
It's
pickleball 24/7.
probably a nominal difference, but the
Pickleball.
pickleball would save money in that regard too.
Not cheaper for them,
No.
but cheaper for us.
So the one thing to, Charlotte mentioned, like, not wanting to go to, recharge because eventually she kind of have to give it up. This is a one-year deal, right? And schools still control kind of the ultimate destiny of what happens at this point. So that is a little bit of the danger of this, right? Is like, hopefully it's incredibly successful, but then are we starting to build in kind of an expectation, and then, what about other uses, that we're kind of creating that potential tension going
Well, we have the
forward.
superintendent here, we can ask him, what's your plan? I won't put you on the spot, but,
What's my plan for Clark long-term?
yeah,
I mean,
At least it's a Charlotte. That's the plan long.
yeah, that's the plan.
Right.
Good
And have
answer.
a great rec center for the kids and adults and seniors in the community. I think 24/7 pickles, great. I think there's so many options. I mean, obviously, the Friday night idea that we were talking about, the, kids, it's kind of a quiet town. Kids are looking for things to do. When we ever have those open gyms at the middle school for 5th and 6th grade or whatever, we're not quite ready to call it a dance yet, but we have an open gym with a DJ. It is jam-packed, jam-packed. We do that a couple times a year, but to have access to a building like that every week would be amazing. As far as years down the road, I think a lot of that would depend on, quite frankly, what happens with the middle school. So we'd have to see. But I want to work collaboratively with Charlotte and Nick and you, and we'd come up with a plan. We'd have plenty of time to kind of figure that out if indeed that happens.
One thing I want to ask about, because there's a no assignment provision, so Charlotte can't sublet. Is that right? So like if youth lacrosse wanted to run a clinic in the gym, is she allowed to let them and accept payment for that, or she cannot?
I mean, my opinion on that specific example is that that probably has enough connectivity to the recreation where there's not an issue. I think
Okay.
that clause is more getting at the concept of we're gonna issue a separate RFP or look to get another lease to rent out the entire second floor
Yep, got it.
of the building.
Still her umbrella.
Yeah, I just want to.
Charlotte can't sublease it to Katie's gas station.
right.
Katie's gas
Or Mary
station.
Ellen's
Katie doesn't own
property.
gas stations, to be clear.
Right.
Okay.
I guess I'll just comment, that's a great thought, only because we know, like today, for example, my son plays D-team tackle. They're on a losing streak, sadly. And they can't use the fields because they closed them. They would have loved to go to a place
Inside.
that they could, obviously no pads, no cleats, but just to go over, place. Clark Gym would have been great for that. So that would have been an option, because the football program, the lacrosse program, they'll pay for gym time, but there is usually not gym time, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
So that could be a great way to sort of recoup some costs and help, with the utilities.
Great. All right, so it sounds like we will circle back with some pro formas, as Mary Ellen says, projections, and we'll see you back 2 weeks from now. Hopefully conclude this discussion.
And so this would be November 1st, right? So ideally, right? The way it's written here?
That was the goal.
That's the goal. Let's aim
Yeah.
for it. Thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you all.
Joining us.
Thanks.
We will move on to agenda item number 2, which is a Community Life Center Committee update. We have a majority of the committee here. We do not. Okay, do you want to do that?
You move the microphone.
We're good.
Thank you.
So, hi, for those of you that I haven't met, my name is Annika Kumley. I'm the chair of the Community Life Center Task Force, and I'm here with 3 of my lovely members who you probably all know, but if you don't, please go ahead and introduce yourselves.
Cheryl Levinson.
Bob Powell.
Kate Green.
Oh,
right.
You want to come join us up front? All right. Then we might actually have a quorum.
Now we do.
We do. Great.
Thank you.
Well, lovely. So we're here because we know that there were some questions about our work to date, and so we're really just wanting to give you sort of an update as to what we've been working on, and give you a chance to ask any questions. So, as you probably all know, we essentially were coalesced in January of this year and have had sort of a series of meetings. We had a little bit of a slow start getting folks, I think, fully to the table, so we lost a few members, had to gain a few more. And we've had sort of 2 milestones to date, which was we put out an RFQ over the summer and received 4 bids from 4 firms that we believe are quite qualified. So we have now extended an opportunity to all 4 firms to submit an RFP. So we are expecting that we will have those by the end of this month, with a goal of deciding by, off the top of my head, I think it's either mid-November, and then a goal of having them start essentially December 1st, with the goal of having their entire evaluation complete. This is ambitious, but by about mid-April, mid to late April. So what am I missing?
You want to explain a little bit what the RFQ asked and what they answered, and then what they will be answering for the RFP, just like generally?
Yeah, so we looked at, as a bit of a reminder, we are focused on sort of 2 primary mandates. The first is to conduct a general needs assessment in sort of 2 pieces. The first is whether or not folks in the town would want a community life center. So that's, I think, per the conversation we were just having, which was quite timely, what is the need in the community for a space for programming of all ages? So really thinking about it as a comprehensive space for people to come meet and play or learn. And I think one of the things that we've run into, as much as you just said, are running out of space for, I think, programming of all ages. So understanding, 1, what is the interest of the folks in the town, and then 2, if there is significant interest, what does it look like as far as a structure to then meet those needs? I think, do we need gym space? Do we need learning space? Do we need, there's a whole list of things I think we could go into around what does this sort of look like, but really our task is to understand what does the community want, and then what would meet the community needs. So the RFQ was focused on a couple of different pieces. We're asking firms to, 1, be able to interact with the town in a pretty substantive way. We want to really solicit real feedback and understand what are people really looking for. We then need, I think there's several sites around town that we would want to evaluate as far as whether or not, they could fit in their current state or be retrofitted to meet those needs, or whether a new facility would be needed to be constructed. And then in that event, having sort of an analysis of those different sites done. And these different firms have to have some architectural expertise, so they can speak to that pretty effectively, as well as any estimated cost. So having an understanding of their capacity, their history within the state with other municipalities, whether or not they have done similar work. Rec centers aren't an exact graft, neither are senior centers. We're looking for something sort of in the middle. And so really looking to see what kind of experience they have. So we conducted 2 references per firm and evaluated. They gave us incredibly comprehensive packets of information on themselves and the work that they've done to date. And we conducted those references. Several of us were at all of those, and decided to go ahead and extend the opportunity to submit an RFP to all 4 firms. So happy to answer any questions, or if I'm missing anything, please jump in.
So I think this is incredibly timely, right? In
Yeah,
light of
it felt
the conversation.
we were all sort of gritting at each other throughout
Really,
this.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's almost like a good trial run for us to understand, the breadth of use in the different areas that, potentially recreation in this year could make the case for what we want to see long-term, right? So it really matches up nicely to that.
Agree.
So if we're already doing, potentially, if we have the possibility of already doing our own test run and our own study, is this really a good spend? If we have the ability, if Charlotte comes back and says, listen, these are the programs I can do, this is my pro forma, this is what I think I can do, and everyone feels comfortable that financially it's, there's a minimal risk here, wouldn't that answer the question as far as a community center or something for the community instead of spending this?
If I can just quickly ask to clarify the question,
Yeah.
Are we essentially saying that the needs assessment could be substituted by a trial run using Clark School for
That's my
recreation
question.
purposes?
Yeah,
That's my question.
I mean, in my opinion, what Charlotte is going to utilize, or the rec director, sorry, is going to utilize at Clark School is one small portion of what the needs assessment is looking at. So, yes, the rec director is going to take a temperature and run rec programming related to what the community wants, but it's not, the breadth of it is not to reach out to community members and to figure out what are we not doing that we could be doing, what are you going to outside communities to do. I mean, right now, the rec department is one person. And so, and
She's not going to offer swimming lessons because there's no pool.
right, but if the community outreach shows, well, if we had a pool, we could offer swimming lessons, and there's a really big need in town, like that. Also, the rec director's not going around town looking at other buildings to see what other programming could be done in those buildings, and if we retrofitted Reach to have a 4th floor and an elevator, could we make it work for annex to as a community life center to the senior center or whatever. So I think also Heidi's not substantially involved, although maybe peripherally involved is in the Clark piece. So Heidi Weir being the director of the senior center. So I think there's an element there that we need to explore. So I think while she is one element to the needs assessment, the needs assessment has a breadth which is much greater than just rec, in my opinion.
I agree.
Agreed.
I agree entirely.
And we would include the senior center, where we'd like to include the veterans. We would like to make sure that this is a community life center that benefits everybody of all ages, of all, interests.
Much bigger scope.
Right. And that would actually free up the senior center for something else if we were, and with all together, it just makes more sense. It would, if we could offer more programs. It's really sad, and I know that Bob feels the same way. It's really sad, the senior center, where we have to turn people away.
Yeah.
And I'm sure recreation has to turn people away.
And I think that just to sort of as a key piece around what is our remit for the task force, which I think is a fun name, is we're just here to provide information. That's our only goal, is to essentially say, we're a resource to go out and find out what is the temperature of the town and what do people need, and where I think, to the point of, are people going to the Marblehead Y or the Lynn Y or other, Salem State for programming, that we could get an understanding of where all of those folks going, and where, potentially are those dollars going too, just in thinking about that as well, that we could, do sort of accomplish two pieces. One, generate revenue for the town, and two, also help create, an additional sense of community here. I'll be totally honest, I'm originally from Boulder, Colorado, so I'm a transplant. And one of the things that I really appreciated about growing up in that town is we had three. For a town of, when I was little, it was about 60,000 if you excluded the university. And it was all sorts of programming. It was, dance or knitting or languages. It was things you wouldn't even really think about. And it's sort of a one-time investment into a space where you get to, they're still there. And I'm, almost 35.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I think it's, what we really want to do is essentially gather as much information, essentially map out all of, what we think this could be, and then give it to the town to make a decision. Yeah. So we're here as an information resource. That's it.
I think it can be incredibly informative. I mean, and cumulatively could just really give us a lot of data on a lot of different areas, right? So I think it'd be hugely beneficial. I can't see a negative at all.
Yeah, so I just have two things to add. One is, though the master plan isn't complete, there is feedback from the town about a desire for a community life center that will be sort of institutionalized in the final master plan report. And the other is, to be mindful of the fact that we are called a feasibility study. And we're really just looking at the need and is it feasible. And I will just sort of tell you, in one of the RFQ responses, they actually did an initial feasibility of the sites that we've asked them to review. And what was fascinating, especially as it pertains to Clark, is that they cited that there may not be enough parking to facilitate a community life center that would be so all-encompassing, where it might include, among other things, Reach Arch, Anchor Foods, Big Blue Bargains, vets, health, et cetera, right? So I think it's an ideal site, but in the feasibility study, we're going to find out that one of the things that it lacks is parking.
Because there are a lot of other sites around town that have a lot more.
Yeah, exactly. Like St. John's parking lot. Or Hawthorne. Or Congregation Sharat Hayam's parking lot. Yeah, there's plenty of places.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will say, like, when Hadley came up before we went forward with the hotel piece, like, part of, like, the Hadley dream, I was like, well, what if all these nonprofits got together and lived on the first floor of Hadley? And, Lynn Community Health was now a regionalization with Swampscott, and it was Lynn Swampscott Community Health, and there were all these things that were available for the community on that first floor. I mean, that would be fantastic, and that would be amazing for our community to be able to offer something like that. But that's just me thinking that it's fantastic. That's why I've always supported the feasibility study, because I don't want to build something, I don't want to put my neck out on the line for what I want. I want to build something that the community needs, because you're going to justify a lot of taxpayer dollars going towards something. And the only way we can do that is to listen, to gather the information, and then fulfill the needs that we've heard.
And when we, in the RFQ or in the RFP, are we putting any constraints whatsoever on their service scope, ages served, communities served, places that they can look at, or is it just carte blanche, just give us the best practice of what you see anywhere and everywhere, obviously within the confines of, like, it's got to be within this town?
So we've made specific requests that they look at making sure that the center would be inclusive to all communities. So really thinking about making sure that it's accessible, that we are making sure that we're talking to very diverse groups of constituencies. So we're not getting, a biased sample. I think that's really important. And that's one of the things that we've asked for in our RFP, is essentially how they're going to do that and how they plan to do that. We have asked for them to evaluate specific sites, but also I think, and Cheryl, you should speak to this piece.
Yeah, we put some sites in the RFP, but made it clear that they would need to talk to probably Max about other potential sites. I met with him, and we came up with 20 different places, which even shocked me. So that would be something that they would do, plus get a lot of the community out, information going, making sure that they do sessions with the neighbors, with the residents, to find out how they feel about it.
I think,
so, yes, we are asking for different sites.
And one thing that I think is a little bit of a benefit to that is, in having to evaluate different sites, we then actually have additional information as a town to understand how we could potentially repurpose those sites. If we don't end up using them for this, we'll have at least a better understanding of, what they could be used for their current state.
And that aligns with select board goal that we came up with last meeting, which was figuring out what to do with all the underutilized or unused spaces in town, and how we maybe could project a use for them in the near future. So
great.
Synergy.
Two birds, one stone.
It's all coming together.
Just really want to triple down on that, kind of making sure that they really engage in many different ways, because I feel like what we consistently encounter with various sites is that no matter how many people are surveyed or how many meetings there were, it's always, you always feel like we don't have enough input, or is it really representative of the community at large? So the more that they can ensure that in different parts of town there are meetings, or different times, whatever it is, in many different ways, just don't rely on like one survey or 3 meetings, or there's got to be a real effort to reach out to different constituencies, so that we feel as though we're not just sitting here later and, we know we don't have perfect information or even close to really good information, but we have to make a decision. That's kind of the worst.
So I think I completely agree with you. Could not agree more. I think the worst case scenario is we come back and we've talked to, a handful of people from, one section of town. And not only have we not done a good job, we've also probably pissed a lot of people off, and made people feel disenfranchised. If something comes to the table and people don't feel like their voices were heard. And I think part of the way that the task force was constructed was to have liaisons from different town departments. So we do have folks that are on our task force that I think help us ground ourselves in ensuring that we're going to make contact with all of the different groups that we can and try to solicit as much feedback as we can from each of those different constituencies, because I think at the end of the day, all of us that are on the task force really feel like we won't be doing a good job if we don't do that.
And you could be the first person to the interview to make sure that those desires are heard.
Thanks, Bob.
Any
All
other
right.
questions?
Are there any additional comments or questions?
So are you looking to us for a vote, or no? This
Nope.
is just.
No, it's just an
It's just
update.
for
Just an
information.
informational,
Okay.
sort of setting the path forward about what the ask is and an update on where they're going. So
Timeline.
Come back after the
Timeline.
RFP is selected, after the
Great.
vendor selected.
that's great. And I appreciate all the hard work you guys have been
Very
putting in.
informative, thank you.
It's
Very
been really
nice.
good. And how methodical you are in
Yes.
in both the requests we originally made from you and sticking within those guidelines.
Right.
I appreciate that.
How many other committees can we get you on? No?
Yeah.
We recruit you?
We're here anytime, and I think if you don't have my contact information, I'm always happy to give it to you and happy to meet offline if that's ever helpful.
Thank you.
Thank you
You
all.
guys need
Thank
to
you.
adjourn your meeting.
But thank you.
Yeah.
Second.
Great.
All in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for stopping by.
Thanks, Eric.
And for the update. All right, we will move on to item number 3, amendment of the entertainment license for G Bar and Grill. All right. Who is speaking to that? Do we have a member of the town staff or anybody? No? Marcy's enjoying Spain. All right, well, I will say this, so we have a application before us for amending an entertainment license. Greg Brockman's here. Gino, would you just grab him that mic in case he has to speak? Gino?
Can you hand him
Mic?
that mic there? Yeah.
Oh, okay, thanks, Greg. They're moving from, right now, their license does not have live entertainment, correct?
Correct.
And you are asking for a amendment to your license to include entertainment just on Thursdays and Sundays?
Correct.
Okay, and the time of this, it would be 6 to 9 on Thursdays and 4 to 8 on Sundays. They're looking for, just so you know, the application says 2 to 3 instrumental,
Yeah, it's mostly acoustic.
Acoustic
No
music
drums,
with
nothing loud,
2 to 3
nothing,
vocals.
yeah, very, very simple.
Okay. Does anybody have?
Well, it's 2 to 3 music and then 2 to 3 vocal.
That's right,
musicians.
that's what I said. 2 to 3 items of musical.
And it's 2 nights a week, Greg? Just
2 nights, yeah.
Thursday and Sunday, it looks like.
Greg, you want to explain what's the vibe? What's happening?
Basically, just, we've opened up on Sundays to kind of expand. The winters have been difficult for us. We're just trying to be a little bit better for the community. It's fun to have some live, quiet, acoustic music for the most part. Some good vocals, a lot of local artists that have been coming in and out. And the community's responded very nicely to it. I didn't realize that box was not checked off on my application in the beginning of the year, so that's my fault on that. But again, typically we've never gone past 8 p.m. And the doors were open a couple times in the summertime, and I think that's where we got some
Feedback.
maybe neighbors were upset by that. I don't know.
Unintended.
I'm not sure, but for the most part, like I said, it's 2 to 3 hours. It's mostly some quiet vocals and some not loud instruments whatsoever. So it's helped us, and the community has responded nicely to it. So
Okay.
that's pretty much it.
Does anybody have any questions for Greg?
I have a couple questions. One is, where are you planning on where did you have these people?
We just took out a couple tables.
Is that the blue, is that the blue here? That's
Yes,
identified?
exactly. So we just took out a couple tables and
So it's right up by the street, right? Sidewalks?
up
It's
against?
in the front
To the
part.
front of the restaurant, yeah.
I got it. And I think one of the problems I have is you received a phone call from Marzi Galaska saying, hey, you don't have an entertainment license. You've got to stop advertising these events. And yet you went and had the event?
No, that was the same day that she called me and said that they had a complaint and that, she's not going to tell me, hey, go ahead and stop. But, there was a complaint, so it's kind of on me, what I wanted to do. The event had already been planned. It wasn't like, okay, she said no, let me go ahead and market this and plan this. That's not what happened.
So my conversation with Marzi was that she had notified you that you were not in compliance with your entertainment license several days prior to that. And then, I don't know if it was a Thursday or a Sunday, it might have been a Sunday.
No, it was a Thursday.
It was a Thursday. And all of a sudden, you were having your entertainment without your license, knowing that you didn't have your license. And then the police came down and asked you to please stop.
Exactly.
Is that what it was?
That's exactly what happened.
Right. So,
But the conversation with Marcy was different than
Okay.
that. And it was not 3 to 4 days prior.
Okay.
Literally like the same day, maybe a day before. And it was already planned, the band had already been paid for. Not a band, but it was 2 people, vocal, singing for 2 hours. So I didn't think that it would be an issue.
Right.
Hadn't been an issue any time before that, so.
So, for me, when I sit here, I want to say, yeah, I think this is great, no problem, but you have neighbors there, and there is a neighborhood there. There are people that live right across the street, there are people right behind, and this is an interruption into their daily environment, into their livelihood. I don't say livelihood, into their well-being.
Yeah.
That's where I have a problem. The doors, these are doors that are open. I know we had issues with another restaurant years ago, and that it just didn't seem to stop. So this is a tough thing for me.
Okay.
Are there like parameters or conditions maybe that you want to suggest to be better? Like if there's a band that the doors are always shut,
Right.
or there's some sort of soundproofing curtain that could go up against the glass so it's not coming out, or.
Can I just interject for 1 second?
Please.
Because we have music playing fairly, at a good volume. The acoustic music that we've had is not much louder. Obviously, when the doors are open, there's echoing that would probably hit on the other side of the street. So I can understand that. And yeah, that makes sense that maybe the doors need to be closed for situations like that. Because in 18 years, we've never had an issue or a complaint about any noise whatsoever.
Have you had live music there?
Yeah, I mean, but it's not much louder than what's playing on our sound system. It's pretty similar. So I think maybe because the doors were open, that's probably where the difference is.
I don't know. What I'm looking for is I'm looking to not disturb people I'm looking to not disturb the neighbors.
Yeah.
For you to be able to have what you need in your business, and for the neighbors to also be able to have what they need. So if we can find a way to.
Can I just propose I'm not trying to play the devil's advocate here, but, the live bands that go on all summer long in spring, which have been great. I've attended many of them, especially that Who group was great. I could hear that music at my house by the water tank, loud and clear. So a little acoustic music for a couple hours, maybe twice a week, not past 8 p.m., I just don't see it as a major problem. I just don't see it as a disturbance.
Mr. Brackman, I agree with you. I don't see it as a problem either. Also, furthermore, the band isn't playing out into Humphrey Street, they're playing into the restaurant.
Exactly.
So, I do think that a little accommodation from the town to help a local business that's been here for nearly 20 years, to bring a little bit of joy and bring a little bit of foot traffic into your business is something that is the prerogative of the select board. We can amend this entertainment license tonight, support one of our long-term local businesses, one of my favorite places to go, one of my family's favorite places to go, and a lot of folks' favorite place to go in town. And I think there certainly are neighbors. There certainly are things that you can do. Certainly, I'm sure if someone came in and said, "Hey, look, it's a little louder. Can you do this?" I'm sure you're not going to turn them down, and
100%.
you're going to listen to that feedback and that recommendation from those neighbors and try to make it a better place. You live here.
Absolutely.
You live in Swampscott.
Absolutely.
And I think you've been a pretty good neighbor. So I'm wholeheartedly supportive of this, and I'm willing to move it now. So I'd make the motion to approve the amendment of the entertainment license for G-Bar.
So
Okay, well,
Yeah,
I'm just,
you can do that.
I can,
there's a motion on the table. We can second it and still have
Yeah.
continued discussion. So,
Second.
okay, so there is some public here who would like to speak, and considering it's on the agenda, and you're welcome to if you want to come up. We have microphones. So just state your name and
Katie,
address.
can I just, one, just very specific, you stated just till 8 o'clock, but on Thursday it's till 9, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it
I
was,
just want to be clear.
I think when we filled that application, we had done one Thursday, so we didn't really have any data to kind of, but I would be happy to keep it at 8 o'clock.
Whatever you want, I'm not telling you,
Yeah.
trying to push you one way or another, I'm just
Yeah.
reading what it says here, so.
Yeah, so, I
You
mean,
want us to be considering
typically
it
Thursday
9 or-
would be maybe a later night by an hour, 9 o'clock, but that's fine, yeah.
Okay, so we should evaluate it based on what you got here.
Thank you, yeah.
Okay, yep.
Okay, please, go ahead.
Well, my first thought with these comments just now is, here comes the creep, right? Here comes the precedent, right? And then all of a sudden, they're doing it at 2, or we'll do
Sorry,
it
could
at
you
5.
just- Could you state your name and your address first? Sorry.
Right, sorry. Moira Farrell. I've been living at Blaney Circle for over 30 years.
Thank you.
Again, it's this creep business. I'll tell you that frequently the noise starts in that area at 4:30 in the morning with garbage and early deliveries. The garbage is often picked up at 4:30, and sometimes, I have it the other way around, Sometimes the garbage comes at 4:30, and oftentimes delivery trucks like Cisco come way before 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 5:30, 9:45. It's just all creep and continual noise that the restaurants generate there, particularly late at night. So sometimes our day starts at 4:30, 5 o'clock, and then ends with the noise at 1:45, 1:30, 1:45. I'm glad that he's putting it in window for a couple of hours, but again, this is how the creep starts, and a precedent it begins. And when they first opened, the neighborhood did not object to G's opening. The time being, the zoning law was you have no parking for vendors or customers. The town decided to waive that. Fine, they waived it. The reason why we didn't object to G's is that it was going to be intimate dining, fine dining. There wasn't going to be a rowdy crowd there. And these are signals to the neighborhood that, oh, they're jacking it up. This is more noise that we are continually, sometimes 4:35 in the morning to 1:30, 1:45 at night. And concerned about, once again, this becoming a precedent. And then all of a sudden, they're just right there, that example, 8 o'clock, okay, 9. Okay, when does 9 become 10? When does 10 become 11, 12, 1? It's all this creeping all the time and nibbling at our privacy, all the neighborhoods. I know a lot of neighbors couldn't be here tonight. And which makes me want, why weren't we informed of this? You know, I see it stamped October 6th. Where's our letter? Why aren't we part of the communication? Where is the more than lip service that people say, oh, we have this restaurant, we'll respect your rights. Our rights are not, our property rights are not being respected. Again, I'm glad that he's talking about a small acoustical window, and when does it become, you know, a Patti Smith punk concert, you know? When does that happen? Oh, we're only going to do this one time, we'll leave at 9, no, they went to 10, 10:30. And it's, okay, I've been listening to you guys since 4:30, 5 o'clock. It's a problem. It's a problem that I don't think this town and this select board, with the exception of a few, really appreciates. And it impacts all of my neighbors, many who don't, this isn't their jam, it's not mine. I don't like public speaking like that, but no one's standing up for us. No one is, and that's noise level, never mind the parking that, we can't get out of Blaney Circle sometimes because of the parking there. We can't, you know, enjoy our yards because of the smells, the rats. I mean, we're living here, and we have lived here for a long time, and we pay taxes, and we've paid taxes for a long time. Please consider our privacy and our peace and quiet. I can't even enjoy my yard anymore. I mean, if it's amazing to me, and I'm an avid gardener, and that really makes me angry that I'm flushing out rats, I'm hearing noises, and it doesn't stop until 2 in the morning, and I get a window from 2 to like 5 o'clock of peace and quiet. Thank you.
Can I just interject?
1 second, we'll just hear from the other public comment, and then.
Hey, Greg. My name's Jody Watts. I live at 259 Humphrey Street, which is directly across from G and Little G. I just want to clarify a couple of things that were said. I'm looking at some Instagram posts. The music has been from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. consistently. There's 4 dates listed here.
Great.
That were 8 to 10. So I'm not sure, I just want to be clear that, 10 o'clock, I have bedrooms right across from the restaurant.
I think we open till 10, not
Pardon?
we're open till 10, not the music.
Nope, it says live music Thursdays, 8 to 10 p.m. Next up, Leon Kicks Project, Tim Costello, on August 14th, August 21st, August 28th, and September 4th, 8 to 10. That's
We've
what it
never
says.
had music till 10 o'clock, ever.
Okay.
I guarantee you have, because I have heard it.
Okay.
I guarantee you have. So let's just, I'm very willing. I love the restaurant. I love these people. They work really hard. They have been good neighbors for a very long time, and so have we. So maybe we can work something out. But 8 to 10, I think, is pushing it. It is not quiet. You said it's quiet. It's not just acoustic. There's a guy with a trumpet. Trumpets are kind of hard to tone down a little bit. So there's a guy with a trumpet, at least 2 people. They've got an amplifier and microphones. The doors are open. My windows are open because it's hot. So, maybe there's a way to rein in the times, rein in the music, definitely keep the doors closed. The group is right, the doors go up, that's the group. I can see them from my house. They're right on the edge of the outdoors. So it's not, it's almost as if they're outdoors because there's 3 garage doors that go up. So, I just think it's fair to us in the neighborhood to at least cut this back quite a bit or not offer it.
Thank you. Do you have additional follow-up, or?
Yeah, I was just saying that we close the restaurant at 10 o'clock, so I don't see how there's noise past 10 p.m., except for from Dockside, maybe. And living in Blaney Circle, that's probably where they hear the noise, because we close the restaurant at 10 o'clock, so I don't know where the noise is coming after 10 p.m., but.
No, it's not after 10, but it's up to 10.
Okay, great.
And these are advertised to play till 10, so,
No, I was speaking on the Blaney Circle.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not you, yeah.
Greg, I don't know you, but, and I want to be super enthusiastic about you doing this. And I know what you're asking for here isn't necessarily what you may have done in the past. but it doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy that Jody's quoting the ad saying when the music is playing, and you're saying that didn't happen. That's not really, it's not helpful.
Excuse me.
Okay, let's, I'm so sorry, but.
Yeah, so, I think we collectively, we really need to figure this out, because it's not just this restaurant, you know, Moira's been here before, you know, it's the collective, right? Like, we're trying to balance, you know, everybody's needs, and I don't think we're finding the balance. It's pretty clear we're not completely finding the balance. Maybe there's not gonna be any perfect balance, but, you know, and I hear the point. It's not just about, you know, this music here, or just about the rats, or just about the garbage, or just about the deliveries. But I mean, you know, I experienced it a lot. I mean, that is a, you know, crazy little spot. You know, there's people doing U-turns, and there's, you know, people parked in front of driveways, and there is a lot going on there. And it's, you know, right in front of these people's, you know, homes. And I really want the restaurants to thrive, and the music sounds great. But I do feel like it's not solely just about this. I know we need to decide on this.
Right.
But I think there's a little bit bigger picture here we need to figure out, so that we don't start getting good people and good neighbors, you know, cross with each other.
So,
There's also 6 restaurants on the street, just to be clear.
Yeah.
I'm not the only one.
Understood, absolutely, and that's a collective, I think Moira was pointing out, it's not, you know, not just about your restaurant, I mean, there's.
Well, I just feel like that was their comments were directed towards me, of the noise and the deliveries and.
I didn't hear it that way. You're the one here in front of us tonight, we've heard before, you know.
Yeah, to be fair, Greg, we've heard
Yeah.
Moira speak before to other
Oh,
restaurants,
okay.
so that's probably why
Right.
we don't feel that way.
All right, no worries.
so
It's not
I have a
unfairly
couple
targeting.
questions for Greg. So, is it possible that your music was, you know, whatever time Jody is quoting till 10, could that have happened in the past, and then this is your request for going forward? Is that it must be, I'm assuming, right?
Honestly, I've paid every single person that's come through, and I've never had music. I've never had live music till 10 p.m.
Okay.
We only had a couple, maybe two Thursdays, and every other day was on a Sunday afternoon, and it was an early, like 8 o'clock at the latest. Usually we did it like 4 to 6, and it was mostly acoustic. So, you know, there could have been an error in that advertisement,
Yeah.
but I can assure you that we only had a handful of Thursdays,
Right.
and they were never past 8, 9 o'clock, and that's why I
Greg, I'm
9 o'clock.
sorry, but I have 6, 7 Instagram posts, and they were all 8 to 10. They were different.
And maybe they were
It could be
advertised at that, but
Instagram
is it
posts, but
possible
it
that the
doesn't mean that
music
we
wasn't?
that those actually went through, or they happened. We had many bands that never showed
I
up.
guess it's
Or
my word against yours, but I hear it till 10.
The other piece too is, I don't feel like, we've had, Paul Moore has been here on more than one occasion, and I never see, and as much as I ask, I never seem to get an answer to the rat question, and I'm always interested in finding out what we are doing to help with that situation. I think it's more on the town side than it is the restaurants, right? I feel like you're,
Going for their food.
of course, yes,
Going for their food.
totally.
And the rats are dying in my yard.
Right.
If it's just another decomposing rats, or just another problem that we have
Right.
to deal with.
Right, so I think that from the town's perspective, on the town side, we need to do more to help with that piece of it. But I don't also want to entirely fault the restaurants for it, because I think that we own a little bit of it too. Because we haven't really done enough to help the people that live in that area.
Austin's point is just, you know, and from my point, nice windows, beautiful creek, it's about the creek and the precedent being set. Do we have to do, now we have to monitor these, oh, it's 11 o'clock, they're still at it. Do you call the cops? Do I call you guys?
Right,
You know,
right.
It's not, you know, I shouldn't be policing this.
Of course.
So this is,
So you're finding it happening past 10 o'clock from this restaurant?
no.
No, okay, that was,
Yeah,
that.
I would
Thank
like
you for
to
that.
keep it open.
That way.
Thank you. I just want to clarify that piece, just so I understand for this particular restaurant, you know, that that's not really.
So I have a question.
Well, hold on, I just have a comment first. We're here for the amendment of an entertainment license. I think while all these things interplay together, it's unfair to have just Mr. Brockman sit here and take all of this on. I think what is probably more appropriate is to have each of the restaurants in the area and like a community meeting so that we could, well, to be fair, we've seen you multiple times, Moira, and people are saying that they're doing the best they can with some of the solutions. You're obviously not satisfied, and the town could be doing more, so the town will be a stakeholder. I mean, I understand that's frustrating to you because you've been living through this for a period of time, but if you're not the only one, then we need to hear from other community members, and we need to understand.
I hear from them.
Great, but maybe we can share some of that information so we can understand better. And it's not that we're not taking you seriously, I for sure am, but it is unfair to this restaurateur to make it feel like he is the only one who is, you know, causing some of the means to these ends.
Again, I'll restate regarding this G's restaurant. This window sounds, you know, appropriate, as the fine dining closing at 10 is appropriate for the neighborhood. And if this is again, I'm concerned about the creep and when it goes beyond 2 to 3 or beyond whatever he's asking for.
So what I'm trying to
Which
suggest
happens a lot, people promise.
Right.
I've experienced people promising things and not delivering.
Yeah. So what I'm suggesting is maybe we'll talk to Marzi about doing a quarterly Humphrey Street corridor community
Right, well, I think
check-in.
It's going to be
where
with
it's
the health department, the police
Yeah, the health
department, all
department, the
together,
police
right?
department, community development, the neighbors, the restaurateurs, quarterly or monthly check-in where there can be either an airing of grievances or a thank you very much. That was exactly how I hoped that would go, and I hope it doesn't go any further than that. Like, not to be just negative, but I'm sure there are times where, you know, they're being great neighbors and they're doing the right thing and they're doing the best they can in situations that they can't always control. So I'll just make that suggestion as something going forward if we were to approve this license. Whether or not we approve this license or not, that we should have some sort of conversation that involves a greater group of people than.
You're talking about something separate.
Yeah, I mean, I think there needs to be a community discussion for the neighbors in that area and the restaurateurs in that area and members of the town hall staff so that we can work on some of these issues. Because they don't just fall on one person, they also don't fall on one town hall department.
So I have a question that pertains just to this entertainment request. First, I am concerned that you were doing this without having a license. That is a concern to me. I'm also concerned that I'm hearing that it wasn't just acoustics, it was a trumpet and other things. However, if they had 2 to 3 acoustics and music, and you didn't hear it outside, you wouldn't have an issue with that then? Is that fair to say?
That's fair to correct.
Okay. So if there's a way to get to that, can we get to that so that we can make everybody happy?
And that was my point.
Yeah.
It was, you know, Mr. Brackman, you know, what if there was the potential to just have a vocalist and an acoustic guitar? We keep it quiet, or you get your live music entertainment license, we help the neighbors, and it's kind of a everybody wins scenario.
I have no problem with that.
Right.
Honestly, it's
And the doors.
it's only a couple.
And the doors stay closed. I
Doors
think
stay
that's
closed.
the big part of it.
So we had a major issue years ago with the Mission, where people that lived past the fish house heard what was going on at the Mission. And what we did was, we just said, you have your music in-house, as long as no one hears it outside, you're good to go. So I think if we could do something like that in this situation.
I do want to be cognizant of the fact, though, to Greg's point, we do have outside concerts, right? Multiple a summer.
Right.
Where you can certainly hear that music at 8 o'clock, 8:30, from many points in this town. And I don't want to see us subject or restrict local businesses, especially one that's been here almost 20 years, with an unfair set of parameters when we, as a town, we love people to come to a Swamptoberfest or a concert or this or that, and there are rowdy people sometimes, sure. There's loud music all the time, right? So what are we really saying?
Well, I do think
know?
those are two different things, though. I think that there's on the surface, they seem equal, but they're different in a sense, right? One is a very public venue. We have it 5 times a year, whatever it is, right? This could be 100 times a year, 2 times a week, right? And it's for a specific restaurant. So those are kind of different audiences and different uses to it.
But it's a vocal issue, right? It's a sound issue, it's an interfering with people's time,
I
right?
understand, right? But it's still just simply 5 versus 100.
I don't know that it's 5, it's more than 5. There are more than 5 concerts.
15,
Right.
20. But
Yeah.
to that.
That movie screen, when it's up, is real loud.
But
right?
to that
It's once a week.
to that point, I think if you got rid of your brass instruments and you
Keep the door shut.
had acoustic guitars, you kept the door shut.
Yeah.
When the door opens, you're still going to hear some of that noise, but it is going to be greatly mitigated. I think to me, that would be a fair.
Sure.
Right.
That would be a
Sounds like
fair
you're
compromise.
Again, I came here, did not know, my fear was it was going to be a license till 10 or 11 o'clock at night, and with all the drinking and all the partying, and then we've heard the music, and then now we're gonna hear them all empty out, and I was glad to hear that this was the little window that was proposed. Again, I am concerned about creep, it going up to 10 and beyond. So not only was my starting my day listening to trucks, I'm finishing my day listening to music and rowdy people.
Could we just clarify what the hours of Little G are?
We're open from 4 p.m. till 10 p.m. and usually towards the fall and winter, 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're a family restaurant.
In your deliveries, what, on
don't do
average,
deliveries.
you don't do deliveries, so you don't have. They don't have the trucks.
You mean,
Oh, deliveries for,
sorry.
Yeah, your deliveries, your restaurant deliveries. What time does,
I could look at when the deliveries are made.
are they
the
typically
only-
that early in the
We only
morning?
have one company, that's our produce company, that comes in the morning, but
Yeah. It's probably not,
It's
is
not-
it 6 a.m.? Is it, is
no,
that,
I mean, I don't know if it's 6 a.m., I would say,
it's sometime in the morning?
I mean, I've called all my distributors and the trash companies and told them that we have an ordinance in town for 7 a.m. There's nothing to be done, to happen before 7 a.m.
Okay.
And I've called and complained many times to all my purveyors. Can I pull them? I mean, what else can I do?
Absolutely.
And I need my product, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
I
Is
mean,
it 6 or 7 a.m.?
It's a great question.
I don't know, I
Gina,
thought
do
it
you
was
know?
7 a.m., so.
We can find out.
It's written anywhere, but it's perceived to be 7.
But if
It's
he's
perceived
telling
to be
seven.
But I'm
he's
trying to
saying
be,
seven, it's just the benefit
I've always
of
been, in almost 20 years, I feel like I've always been respectful to my neighbors, always.
Of course, yeah.
And to the trash, for me, because I keep a very clean place. We wash out our barrels. Our trash is picked up every single day. My back area is swept and sprayed down. I mean, there's,
It's almost like you can't win, because if
I
you
can't
don't do
win.
that,
If
you're
there's rats,
you're
there's rats.
encouraging
We live
rats.
by the
If
ocean.
you do that, then there's noise from that. So it's a very difficult thing to balance, and I
but we do
recognize
try.
that.
We do try,
Yeah.
for sure.
What I think, as a product of this conversation, what we don't want to happen is we don't want we want the relationship
feelings,
to
yeah.
grow, and we want the neighborly conduct to continue in a way that creep is no longer a concern, because you have built trust that this is what he says it is, and it's not going to change. And so I think the suggestion would be to approve the license as the limited time frame with the parameters discussed, that Mr. Brockman keeps his word as he's spoken to us and to you, and that maybe going forward, we'll start
community
quarterly
conversation.
with like a community conversation in that neighborhood to understand, listing out all the issues, some of these discussed tonight, but I'm sure there are other ones which you haven't thought of. but let's list out all the issues and let's try to figure out which departments in the town can help you solve some of those issues or help mitigate some of those issues, both for the restaurateur and the community.
Can I just say one thing with just addressing your concern for the creep, because I do respect that. If our liquor license says 11 PM, we're to be done serving alcohol before that, and all of our employees need to be out of the building by 11 PM, right? So that's the law that's written and what's said on our license. Same thing with our if we are approved with this entertainment. If we have hours of 9 PM, then at 9 PM, it ends at 9 PM, and we have to abide by that. And me, as a Christian man and an honest man and a family man, I abide to what I'm supposed to be doing. I've been doing it for 20 years. There's never been an issue at my restaurant, so I just, there should be no creep because there's written rules, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the motion was seconded, so if the discussion is completed, we'll move to a vote, if everyone's okay with that. Okay, so all those in favor of approving the amended entertainment license for G Bar and Kitchen?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, opposed would be none. So thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
coming in and for the conversation, and we will
Thank you.
have somebody reach out regarding
That's your first order of business now.
community, a community meeting, and
Every Thursday night, if you can go by to the
Right.
restaurant at 9 o'clock. that would be
Moira,
great.
if you have a list of community members who have concern and it is able to be shared so that Marzi could reach out to them, or somebody from town hall could reach out to them to invite them, or you would be willing to invite them, and we would love to hear, from the neighborhood. Or if you want to hold a neighborhood meeting and have us join
You know, these concerns are only going to grow once the hotel is completed,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And
That's
so
why we should
that's
start
why we need to
now.
start I
Yeah.
wanted to, come here, because it's at a tender state right now, and given what's going to be down the pike between parking, rats, no parking for vendors, for these 6 big trucks, them U-turning in Humphrey Street, it's a lot for a very tight space. And really doesn't seem like the neighbors are being represented in their concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to the last item on our new and old business, which is discussion and prioritization of the select board goals. So, Diane made a very lovely chart from the last meeting, thank you, Diane, which listed out by board member the goals that each of us listed, and I think the task today, similar to what we did at that Saturday meeting we had a year, or a little, I guess it was over a year ago now, is to sort of prioritize from our lists, 1 to 5 goals so that we can have real clear communication to Nick, what he should be prioritizing going forward. And I think, just this chart alone is good for us to be keeping track of as we go, adding to or taking away, because, for example, we were able to point to one of the goals today when we were talking about whether or not something should happen. And if it's facilitating a goal moving forward, we should feel confident in the way we're moving. And then, hopefully that helps with discord among us 5, because if we've said today that it's a goal moving forward and it remains a goal, then we should feel confident in moving in that direction. So, I think the last time we did this, correct me if I'm wrong, we sort of everybody got 1 or 2 votes?
3.
Oh, was it 3? Okay, sorry.
3 votes.
See?
And-
I knew
and-
somebody would correct me if I was wrong. 3 votes.
We got 2.
Can I-
And we ranked them. Go ahead, Doug.
I just want to make a correction. I would love for the climate leader investment decision to be $100 million, but it was only $1 million. Okay, so-
I saw that. Nobody saw that?
Diane.
Oh, come on.
You and Doug are in cahoots.
M could be 1,000 too.
Your honesty, Doug.
Okay. All right, so, do we want to, Doug, you didn't bring your eraser or your markers, but we have some.
I'm not sure whether or not, now I'm questioning whether or not, Katie and Mary Ellen, they stacked the deck with
Yep.
like all their
They're good.
long
Oh,
list
yeah.
of priorities.
So my priority list was longer, it's just that Danielle got most of them, and then David got the rest of them, and then you
Yeah, I
got
mean,
them. I went
to be fair,
last, so.
none of these are solely
wasn't even here.
anybody's.
Boy, they're very sensitive.
You're always to blame, David, what
I
did
know.
you do?
Yeah.
All right, so,
how do we-
why can't
So-
we just have this whole, I mean, like,
We can, listen, we
The whole
can.
thing.
All of these are select board goals.
Right.
It's not saying that any one of these shouldn't be worked towards.
Right.
But what is confusing for any particular person who is potentially taking on a leadership role and started on Monday would be how to prioritize the list that we've given them.
We want to
So-
set Nicholas Connors up for success
That's
here.
right.
We
So
want
I'm
a
just
Only
saying,
one
like,
page. He can
list of-
handle one
Yeah,
page,
well,
right? I mean,
but I'm
30
just saying,
things.
let's hear from,
Exactly.
first of all, he did not participate in the last conversation, although I'm sure he watched this last select board
I
meeting.
was here
He
for
was
that
here.
Oh,
one.
you were?
Yeah, that was the one
Oh,
that appointed, yeah.
gosh, I totally forgot. But I think it's important that we prioritize them. I think it is, for us too, because, you know, if something comes up that one of us hears about and we know it's in the top, it's related to something in the top 5, we should feel confident to bring it forward, you know, as a group and to champion it.
what about if we rank them A, B, C?
What is the difference between A, B, C, and 1, 2, 3?
Well, because then if you don't have 1, 2, like if you're saying I can only vote on 2, I might say, okay, this is an A, that's an A, that's an A, that's an A.
Oh, so you want to categorize
You wanna
an A
grade them,
group, a B
grade.
group, and a C group? Like a tier system?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I actually, that's
makes
interesting.
sense.
It does, because I was wondering about some of these, I was actually looking at some in your column, Mary Ellen, and whether or not you felt as though.
Guess they're all picking on my column.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get it.
Just 'cause you
I'm
got
not
to
taking
go,
it personal, but
you got to go first, you know, and you have this
Went last.
long list, so we're trying to prune it down, you
I went
know.
last.
She went last.
Yeah.
No, she did.
I went last.
She went last.
Doug went last.
We
I went
read,
last.
no,
Doug went last.
David wasn't here. We read David's first. Yeah, Mary Ellen went last. She has a picture. Anyways, it really doesn't matter, guys. We're squabbling
Let's
about
just-
unnecessary.
Let's get to the business.
Okay, so I think, yes, A, B, C is fine. We can do that. Maybe that's helpful. So going through, should just be, we'll start at the trash contract. So are we considering that an A, a B, or a C? And I guess, to be fair, we should define what A, B, and C are. So an A would be like a must accomplish, right?
In the very short-term future, right, or priority-wise?
Are we talking 90 days, 120 days? Are we putting a time on it, or no? You're just saying,
6 months.
okay.
So you would like that completed 6 months in advance of the expiration, roughly?
No, that's more like in the next 6 months.
Within-
A priority in
within
the
6
next
months
6
of-
months
Okay,
Yeah.
of today, or
right, it
Yeah.
expires in the end of June, right?
it expires at the end of this fiscal year, yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
30.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so
Yeah,
that's
but we're
the
not-
definition. So you went a different direction than I was thinking. So you're
Okay,
saying-
always, Doug. You and I are always going in different directions. What do you want to do? What would you like to
No,
do?
I'm just trying to make sure I'm following the ball. So my mind was going in a different direction, so the definition for A for you is a must-do, as opposed to like, you know, a broad, community-wide, biggest goal versus, review the TA hiring process. When I saw that, like, is that really in the same category as, economic development or Hawthorne?
No.
That's what I was separating out, like.
Category.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so
But that's
we don't
okay.
have to put a timeline on it. These are just things that I'm saying, like, an A would be like
A priority.
like the highest priority, right? Like something we should be working towards accomplishing.
So I think we want, let's pick a number, right? Let's say top 10, right? So we want, the top 10 on this entire grid,
Right.
right? And then in order of priority, A, B, C.
Sure.
Does that make sense, right?
Well, let me ask you another question. What about if we went through each one of these things and just said, is it an A, B, or C? And then we're done with the A, B, or Cs, and we go back and just say, out of the A's, what are the top 10 A's you gotta get done right away?
Sure.
Okay, that's
I
great.
mean, some of these things can't be done right away, they're a work in
Could I
progress.
just add one thing, like
Yes, please do.
strategic versus tactical
Sure.
or directional? So like, the trash contract has to get done regardless of where you
Yeah,
guys
right.
think it is, A, B, or C, or
Right.
it doesn't make the list?
Yeah.
if
You gotta
I'm
do
sitting
it.
here in June and I have not completed that, or extended
You
Republic
probably
and
won't be here
figuring
in
it out,
July.
Gino can help
it's
you.
gonna be a bad.
Tell you what to
Correct,
do since
correct.
he's just
Be
gone
a
through
bad
the last
Some
few
of these won't
months.
need a grade necessarily.
I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, they
if
have
you're
to.
really trying to narrow things down, something like that is just a straight priority of mine regardless. It's an
Yeah.
expiring good or service that we need to operate as a community. I don't want you to use one of your votes on that.
Right.
If there's something that is more strategic or requires research, like additional regionalization, things like that, that are really
Sure.
like broad
Visionary
directional
statements,
ideas that you want me to make sure staff and myself are spending
Yes,
time on.
and you can just get a trash contract, or you can just renew the health insurance, or you can really rethink the trash contract or really rethink the health insurance. So that's two different things. And I think you're thinking about the rethinks, right? In both of those. So,
Sure.
yeah.
I would assume you're gonna evaluate for the best possible scenario for the town, right? That's what I'm,
My
That's why we hired him.
Right?
goal in my charge.
right? So
Yeah.
that's gonna be the contract and the best, which is, part of one or
Yeah.
two here, right? I think
Okay.
that goes without saying, maybe.
Okay, so we won't label trash contract because that's a must,
Yeah.
not a want.
Okay.
So the health insurance contract, having a health insurance contract is a must, but the want would be whether or not we get out of the GIC or not.
Right, which is a different animal.
So did we ever get a date? Did either of you
Not yet.
get a notice
We've-
date? No, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess to figure out if that is even plausible, we need that information first, but
Correct.
what is the prioritization of that? If we,
There's a time
the
for it, but
research on that and the prioritization, is it an A, B, or a C?
I would say it's a B right now.
I would say it's at least a B, because we really need to understand how much notice they need. We have been given conflicting information in the past, so we really need to understand what the notice requirement is for renewal. And then it's a whole bigger conversation of, is it worth it? What towns around us have done it? I know some have, some haven't. Is it valuable? So it's
Okay, so we'll temporarily pencil a B there. Transition audit, clarity on financial status.
Those are two totally.
I think it's an A. My opinion is that's an A.
And why don't we let the people that, like, propose them self-categorize?
Yep.
Maybe that can help us speed along here.
Because then we'll just have to go back and have a conversation whether it's right or not.
Most people are gonna think all theirs are As, right?
Right.
Well, Mary Ann was labeling some Bs. I'll label some.
So I'll give you some, so on the transition audit, I think based on, I just think that's an A. The staffing backup, I think that's a B/C, only because of other things that have to get done.
Okay.
The review of the TA hiring, I think that's a B/C. Source elimination, I think that's an A. A/B. Glover update.
Stop doing slashes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I would say source elimination is an A.
Yeah.
Glover update is an A. Charter review, I think that's an A. It's got to get into place. And townwide calendar, I'd say, is a B.
Okay, so now Doug, do you want to just go through and say, does anybody disagree? Because I would say the townwide calendar, which sort of goes to the communication improvements, is an A.
I would agree with that.
Because I really feel like that is one of the reasons why we keep getting dinged for transparency and a bunch of other stuff. And I feel like there are tangible solutions that we could be implementing. Yes, some of them cost money, but some of them can just be practice-based, and we should be doing that.
Right. I agree.
I'm good with that.
Okay. Does anybody have any other feelings on other?
I personally think reviewing the TA hiring process could be a C, because considering the fact that we're sitting next to one right now, I think that.
I agree.
Right.
Not that, I have high hopes here, so I'm gonna say a C. The health insurance contract, I think, is a B. We still have that. I have to say, the charter review, I also think is a C, given what we have. I really do. I think it's a massive undertaking, and I think that with all that we have on our plate right now, something has to take a bit of a backseat, so I think that would be a C. But that's just me. It is important to do. I'm not saying it's not, but I just think there are other more pressing things.
Mary Ellen, could you just say, like, the most significant part of the charter review that you're interested in, so we can bring that into focus, what you're...
Charter review really needs to be done in a timely manner, and I think we're behind. We should have really done it maybe a year. It's not gonna be a heavy lift for us, because my opinion, we should just put together a committee, charter review committee. When David was the chair, he initiated having all of the committees come back for their recommendations, so there's work that's already been done.
Okay, so it's something we have to do. It's something that is
Well,
required.
I think it's a best practice.
Best practice,
Yeah,
every
It's best
five, every what,
practice.
5 years?
5 years, I think
Yeah,
it is.
and so
I have a
we're-
lot of that information.
Yeah, so I think a lot of the lifting has been done. I think my recommendation is we do put together a small committee to do the charter review and then come back. I don't
I
think it'll
think
be
it
a
might be
lot for
in
us.
the charter, what the review committee is. I think it might say in the charter.
Okay,
How about a B?
yeah, okay.
So I really think regionalization is a B and not a C. I know Mary Ellen sort of had a couple other, like, staff backup plans, consolidate and add roles, but I had regionalization opportunities and under my name, and I would like to say that that's a B.
So then I have B, B, A, B, C, A, B, A.
What? Say it again?
BBA.
Trash? You're starting with
B-
trash? Okay.
Is it B, B, A,
Yep,
B, C, A,
yep,
A, B, A?
yep, got it.
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
correct.
you got it.
All right, moving on to David's. Do you want to categorize it first, and then we'll judge
Yeah,
you?
sure. Yeah, I mean, look, the economic development, some of these are longer-term
Right.
goals and objectives that we're going to be working on consistently. So the fact that we're not going to accomplish the, economic development in the next 6 months, but completing the hotel, the Hawthorne, and the downtown parking and infrastructure improvements is going to be something that is going to be, we're going to be working on today. We're going to be working on probably 5 years from now. So it's important, but it's not something that Nick and the board are going to be able to accomplish, and
Of course.
So I look at that as a long-term goal.
But it's, I guess, then said differently, David, where you have these more philosophical ideas rather than practical ideas. Maybe it's like you want this in the forefront of the person's mind who's making decisions rather than in the back of their mind. Do you know what I mean?
Got it.
So I would say, complete the Hawthorne Humphrey Street Renaissance would be, that's an A. I mean, we're
Yeah.
driving that, and we don't want to take our foot off the pedal doing that.
Correct. I'm just looking at this as what's feasible
Yeah.
and
Which
can be addressed in a short period of time. So my
Yeah.
definition may just be different than
Yeah,
yours.
because I don't think it should be something that can be finished in
No.
this year.
But should be
wants to
focused.
be worked
should be
on in
focused
those
on,
6
yes.
months
So that's,
consistently,
that's an A.
Okay. And then we'll call both those top 2 A's? Top 3?
Yeah, top 3 A's, and then, balanced revenue was part of the economic development efforts.
So
So
we
we'll
can
skip that.
take
And then-
that off.
Yeah, and then collaboration with the Housing Authority for an affordable housing feasibility study.
Oh, that's all
Oh,
one.
it all goes together?
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's all one piece.
That's all one.
That was the third piece. We're in a housing crisis. Previously, we had allocated some ARPA funds, which in my opinion could have been multiplicative. The feasibility study could have resulted in tens of millions of dollars being allocated to create new public housing for the first time in 50 years. That's certainly something that is going to take some time. I would look at that as a B.
Yeah, I mean, just to say it, we allocated ARPA funds, but then we couldn't get a contract signed in
No,
advance. So,
Well, the
like,
housing
we need,
authority couldn't get,
right, well, I was saying we to be generous. So
No, I don't
we as
wanna
a
take
town
that
couldn't
one.
get things lifted up there. So hopefully, in hearing that this is a B priority for us, the housing authority should feel more confident moving forward and coming forward with some of these ideas. Although now we have probably less funds, or maybe there's grant opportunities.
Well, there certainly are grant opportunities, and now we have the CPA in
Yep.
effect, and, potentially some of those funds, along with Affordable Housing Trust funds, along with some potential grants from the state, could get this to come to be. All I was saying
Get it on our
was,
radar.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we need to be able to start that.
Yep.
We did have roundtables with the town administrator, with the director of the housing authority, and with the select board, as well as members of the housing authority. Those meetings probably happened for about a year, and they probably should restart in earnest. There's a different board there. There's certainly a board that's focused on redevelopment. They've set up their 501c3. So I do think that they're ready now. They may have not been ready 2 or 3 years ago, but I think they're ready now to really take that next step.
Great.
And then, prioritization of restaffing at town hall, but that's in others as well.
Okay.
Well, it should probably be enlisted then on yours too.
For staffing, what specific, because I guess staffing's listed a couple of different ways here, so which one does it most?
I was looking, so just in my notes, it was specifically finance director and a full-time assessor.
Okay, yeah, because that's not listed out here. Full-time assessor and finance director, and I assume you want to call that an A?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have then for David, A, B, and then his new entry is an A. All right, Danielle.
Okay, so kudos to me for my short, manageable list of goals here, I might say. The Hawthorne is a big, huge A++ for me.
Yeah.
Number one?
It is.
She
Look at
said
that, number
so.
one. I
Consistent.
didn't write that, but it's there. Great. We need to figure it out. We need to figure it out quickly, right? That's just how I feel. Financial priorities with finance, schools, and select board. Also an A. Key critical piece, right? Financial summit, we've talked about it. We now have to actually implement it and do it, and start that conversation. I hate to say it, but prioritizing staffing and FTEs at town hall, also an A. To me, we are at a critical point. We have a number of open positions. Finance director, assessor, there are a couple of others that have recently come up. We need to get an understanding of the best utilization, the best structure, and we need to implement it, right? That's critical. Complete hotel. I like to think that's on its way. I could safely say that's a B. I don't think that, it's a priority to get it done, but I feel like we're progressing towards that. So
Yeah.
I don't think we need to allocate critical resources to it at this point.
Right. You're calling it a B because we've done the legwork.
Correct.
And it's sort of like
It's in
playing
motion.
out. It's in motion, right? It's
As
not because,
opposed to Hawthorne
it's not,
Execute as opposed to.
Yes,
making
exactly.
important
Correct.
Yep.
Value judgments in the beginning.
Right.
Yep. Hopefully we are done with all that work.
Right. Unused properties review and a master plan for usage. Critical, A. I'm sorry, I think it is an A. We just had this discussion about Clark. One affects the other. It's like a domino effect here. So the properties directly correlate to the financial summit, to, the priorities for budgeting. I hate to say it, but I think that's an A also. That is the end of my short list.
All right, so we have everything in A under Danielle's except for hotel, which is B because it's in sort of moving along mode. From the list under feel-in, but I take no ownership for this because these were all ideas that have come up
Long
multiple
list under
times,
feel-in.
okay? Well, I have lofty goals.
Wordy list.
Employee relations and morale. Again, I think this is an A because, as Danielle just said, we're ripe for it right now because we have so much turnover that we can turn the tide. There's some trust that we need to earn back from current employees. There's some, great relationships that we can build with future and onboarding employees. Like, this should always be an A. The financial reevaluation summit / policy review. This, Tri-Chair is working on this right now. I think there was just to give a quick little update, there is a bit of pressure because we've talked about this financial summit for so long, like what is the financial summit? And it looks in different forms for different people. So I think I mentioned last time, the position that Tri-Chair is taking is that we will do these mini little breakouts. Like we would talk about, one idea was we were going to talk about Clark and what should happen with Clark in a breakout. One idea was like, okay, let's talk about what the financial budget guidelines are and whether or not they're effective. One was like, let's talk about capital plan. How long does it go out for? 5 years, 10 years projection. So I think we've sort of figured out like a series of little mini events, and like, we've suggested that a conversation around capital improvements goes first because it really begets so much other conversation. And so we are going to be scheduling that, and it'll be us and FinCom and school and the other stakeholders where, obviously that one will include capital improvements. And so we'll sort of do these vignettes rather than a full summit of an all-day, pressures on, think of everything we were supposed to think about and talk about and put it in one day, rather this sort of little build-up.
I just want to just say, just a word of, not a word of caution necessarily, but I would like to be, I hope that we're all informed of what's happening in these little snippets so that we, not to take away from the transparency of the process of a financial summit.
Yeah.
Right, because I think part of that goal was to have community involvement and to be public about what we're all discussing, right? So I don't want to get away from that in the tri-chair model, right?
Yeah, I think what I hope to happen is that once we come up with a topic and a date, we will bring it, each tri-chair member, myself, Eric, and Amy will bring it to their meetings publicly.
Great.
And then we will have a public conversation individually, and then we will bring it forward, and then that will help create the agenda, and then the meeting itself will be public.
Great.
So that is how I sort of thought about it. And we are, the idea of tri-chair is not meant to be secretive in any way. It's more like, how do we structure this sort of mammoth thing that we were all talking about and really make it work for everybody's definition, which was different. And it was like, well, maybe we just take the pressure off a little bit and start in some smaller steps so that we can all feel comfortable we're moving in the right direction.
Great.
The only thing I would ask, clearly this isn't easy because it's been difficult to pull together.
Yeah.
Can we get a calendar?
We
of
can.
What those are, so that, I'm just worried about the clock we're starting to move through the year already, right? And so,
Yeah, we can, but I guess part of the conversation will also be like, yes, we can signify some dates for which we hope to have these conversations, but the topic, while we have maybe like 3 topics right now that we're thinking about, we also want to let like the first meeting exist, and then, okay, while we had these 2 ideas, maybe that's not the direction that we should be going in, or maybe after we have a conversation about the one idea, other boards spring forward, well, we really want to talk about X, Y, or Z. Like, we would have thought Clark would have been first, but then we had this MOU come up, and so it was like, okay, well, long-term Clark needs to happen, but now it doesn't have to happen so quickly, because there's a potential MOU.
I guess that all sounds great, but it feels like we're going to be in the middle of the budgeting process before we get to our second meeting with that type of process. So I'm just
Well, we
encouraging.
are. I mean, to be frank, we are. Like, we are hoping to meet in November, and then maybe again in December or January, and then maybe again because this is on top of all the other meetings we're having. So like, then again in like either February or March. Like, I don't think we're saying like every single month we're gonna have one of these breakout meetings.
Okay.
Is that what you'd rather do, every single month?
Well, I guess I would just, don't let perfect be the enemy of the good. Don't try to boil the ocean. Like, try to find the 2 or 3 things that are really, really important. Like, is there one capital improvement meeting? Whatever, like, let's get the big things that like have some discussion, and then maybe bring it to that, true kind of summit, version sooner rather than later, so that we don't end up, basically, he's got to have the budget done by March 1st, right? We're middle of October, it's just, the clock's going to start ticking, and I just don't want to be in a position where we haven't had this conversation again because we were trying to have all these different meetings and then we ran out of time.
We're not trying to have all these different meetings. We're trying to not let, as you said, not let perfection be the enemy of progress, and we are trying to just progress on some topics that we have a good understanding about. Everybody is on the same page. Like, we need to talk about projected capital improvements. And then we need to talk about like, okay, are the financial guardrails we have in place realistic going forward? And then I think there was one other topic, I don't have my notes in front of me. So those are the top 3 that we sort of all came to a discussion on. And so like, then I assume as we have those discussions, they'll beget more conversation. But to your point, I'm open to the idea that that just begets a summit now that we're all comfortable and everybody's earned some trust back and we all have definitions that we're comfortable with. Maybe that just does facilitate one particular meeting, but I think we won't know until we start.
Got it.
Okay. Beaches and Pipes. I don't think I called it exactly that. It sounds like that's like a band or something, but
You're all the way down there? What did
Yeah,
I-
you
Right? Oh, I skipped.
So financial reevaluation was an A?
Was an A. Sorry, I wrote communication improvements. I put A just because
Oh, yeah.
I also put it, like the townwide calendar is part of that, so I just mimicked the A from there. It's really similar. Select board unity and respect, I mean, that's an A plus for me, but I really think, you know, we now passed a handbook, we're looking towards a social media policy. Mary Ann got back with some comments from peers about what their social media policy looks like. So in the upcoming meetings, we'll put that back on to have a conversation about it. And so we have that going on in that regard. Regionalization opportunities, I would call that a B. It's something that like should always be in the back of our mind, thinking for everything that comes to the table, like, okay, is an option here regionalization? What are the relationships? How can we facilitate that? Can we not for specific reasons? Like we had talked about a health and safety chief and sort of being a regional thing at one point in time, maybe like 18 months ago. And part of like the snafu is, you know, we're at a civil service and not all our neighbors are. So, but is that something that could still be facilitated? So, you know, some topics like that. Beaches and pipes, obviously it's closest to source elimination on Mary Ellen's list, so we'll call it an A. Economic development, it's on David's list, it's an A. Hadley, Glover, Hawthorne vacant properties, it's on Danielle's list, that's an A. A succession plan for buildings out of use. That's a little bit similar. I think both of these are probably
Unused properties.
unused properties, so that's also already on a list, so that's an A. So, Diane, we can go through and like where there's duplication after this, we can meld it down to one list and take the names across the top off so that the ownership is the whole board and not us individually.
Okay, Doug's turn.
So Doug, you're next. Unless anybody disagrees with any of those prioritizations.
I would just say beaches and pipes are in progress. I feel like that's a B, personally. I don't feel like there's much more that we need or can do to advance that any further than we already have.
Actually, I think I think it should be an A, because now that Nick is here, I think, and also with the information that we had from Kleinfelder in the springtime, Kleinfelder identified that we were making big strides in as far as source elimination, and they felt that keeping up how we were doing it, we were going to be able to have everything sealed up and have some good test results. So I do think that we should really keep the pedal to the metal on that one.
But what else
And the
can we
UV
do to do that?
Well, the
We can-
UV pilot results and like, what's the next step?
Right.
We can also
It's gonna be
identify
a big decision.
the speed and the need of what's happening. Like we went
That's
from,
stuff that we can drive, right? We can drive
Yeah.
are we waiting to get?
Well, we may
information?
have a
Well,
decision in front of us within this calendar year to potentially locate and go after grants for
Oh,
a
okay.
$20 million facility. I mean, theoretically, that's, I mean,
I didn't realize that we'd even have.
whatever it is, you know, something.
Okay.
you know.
But there's also a regionalization component, which is more intermediate to long-term. So yes, while we're making our decisions in the short term, there's also the need to remain in close contact with our state and federal partners, as well as the city of Lynn, to see what they're doing. I mean, that's regionalization to some extent, but but it's also cleaning up our beaches and pipes. So I mean, it's been a priority for the last several years. I think it should remain a top priority.
Yeah, I think I agreed with you at first, thinking like, oh, this is like Hadley, right? Like it's going. So we don't change speed. We're just going to keep going. But I think there maybe are a couple more things that decisions probably have to be made from before we can get to that point. So we're almost to a B situation, but yeah.
Can I challenge a little bit on the staffing, now that I'm thinking about it across here? And not truly about whether or not it's an A priority, but how much of that is a select board controlled, managed decision versus the town administrator effectuating?
I think unfortunately more than you think, because our interplay with staff at town hall greatly affects morale at town hall.
Okay, so we've got an employee handbook, we've all signed off on it, there's not gonna be, select board members going directly to town hall, staff, right, without going through the town administrator. So, with that assumption, and, we've talked about there's so many open positions, I know there's 2 key ones in finance. We've now hired some people in terms of planning and land use and, rec director, I'm not sure where all these positions are, we've had a little list here. I'm just checking us about, maybe there's a decision if we want to tweak the structure in finance, but where is all the time and energy really from the select board going to be going in terms of this staff morale?
I think that the structure of how town hall exists is not going to be something we can expect, Nick to come in and just know automatically or feel, or know the past history of each position. I think that we're going to have to do some work with the outline almost of the structure and how things work and how they play into one another from a budget perspective. And I think that's, yes, certainly the hiring and placing positions is more under the TA, but I think we have to take a hard look at how it all exists and what the staffing, the procedures, the hiring process, all of it for police, fire, town hall, how it all kind of goes together. I think that structure is where we would come in. But
So
not the
I think this
actual-
is, my comment to this, putting it on this list, is in direct relation to how the budget process went this year and how we sat here and took $1,000 out of employee growth line items, and that affected town hall staff in a serious way. And so if we are saying, like, to Nick, that the select board supports growth at town hall, the select board supports a change in morale at town hall, then that means when the budget comes to us, Nick's gonna say, this directly aligns with a select board request, which is that we prioritize growth in certain departments where we could, or we prioritize, certain educational items or certain certifications for employees, or and maybe we can't afford to do all that, but at least when Nick presents it to us, he can feel like he has the support of the select board saying, like, I didn't cut this $1,000 expense for somebody to go to a conference because it was a select board priority that we allow town hall to do that, and that he has less of a justification to us because we've asked him to do that. So that's really where I came from logically in putting it on here, but.
All righty.
Doug,
Or you have it on there, so.
I just do want to interject on when you're talking about how we have 2 openings in our finance department. Yes, we have openings, but people shouldn't feel that we don't have anyone sitting there. Right now, we have a top-notch consultant out of the state who's there covering what we do. He's very well-known, he's excellent, so we do have coverage in there right now. But, where I put this down under my priorities is staffing backup plans. I just want to make sure that we have a real clear plan on when person A decides they're leaving or they're going out sick or whatever, that we know exactly who's jumping in to cover that spot.
Like succession planning.
Succession planning, and then just lateral movements here and there. That's all.
Okay. Doug, would you like to go on to your list?
Sure. A, B, B.
So for those who are at home and listening, housing.
Housing Authority Master Plan, A, Hawthorne completion, A, completion of plan, right, of course.
Yeah.
Within this year. Completion of the plan for 299 Salem Street / the Glover, A, climate leader investment decision, could be $1 million. B, and I always say B because I think that's primarily the Climate Action and Resilience Committee that will be bringing that forward. So I don't think there's a huge lift for us, but it's just something that I think is significant. unused property plan, B, and CPA B, primarily again, because it's mostly in motion. The big thing for us is really to seat the committee, so.
And that shouldn't be an A, to seat the committee?
I trust that it's a one-meeting vote, hopefully our next meeting.
It's coming on the next agenda.
Okay, all right,
Um,
okay, good.
I mean, just to say it, because I've said it in the past, I prioritize the unused property plan, or like, I think we talked about this when Historic Commission was here at one point in time, of creating some sort of historic property plan and like how they may be utilized going forward. That to me is a far more valuable thing, considering the time, than, like, yes, we're gonna have a plan for the Glover because we have some stuff going on there, or not we, but there is stuff going on there. But that, I didn't put that as a priority, but because it's not really us, it's the Historic District Commission, but, I'm sorry, the Historic Commission, not the Historic District Commission. But if that somehow circles into an unused property plan, then that would reprioritize it to be more of an A than a B if the Glover's an I. But.
So you'd
That's
like
my
to
2
see that
cents.
move to an A?
Well, if it's going to also include like the identification of historic properties and their value and what we could do with them, like, I would love it if it did, and, you know, like, we can leave it a B, but I also don't, I think Glover maybe is a B, so.
Got a lot of A's here, folks. Hopefully there's some dupes.
There's a lot of things.
There's- Yeah, I think there's a lot of duplicates, and we can boil this down to, I don't know, I think, probably 20, and then if we have 10 A's, like, great.
Great. We just want to make it manageable, right? We don't want to be the,
I'm wondering, I wonder if we,
2, 3.
should I do some markering to like,
yeah, I feel like you want
just to get the
use those
A's,
markers, Doug.
just to get the A's all in one place?
Okay.
Yeah, how many, in terms of the dupe issue?
Yep.
Trust you, Doug.
So, clarity on financials / transitional audit. We'll say, for the source of words, we'll say beaches and pipes. Glover.
Glover / my $2.99.
Yeah. If you wouldn't mind, Mary
I
Ellen.
just don't know how Glover's an A when this is not our property.
Well, you made Glover an A on your column.
Yeah, you did. I did? Yeah.
Yeah.
Glover update. No.
Oh,
No,
update.
Glover
Oh.
update, Glover update.
Communications for the next one, townwide calendar communications.
Yep, so we call that communication improvements. Economic development.
David, can I ask a friendly amendment? Is economic development meant to be something different than the hotel Hawthorne Humphrey Street?
No.
Not really? Okay.
Okay,
Just
so let's
take it
make it
out.
one. So Hadley, Hawthorne, Humphrey Street. Triple H,
Parking is different.
Humphrey. And then parking. And then full-time assessor, finance director. If you didn't write that down, that was an amendment David made to his. And
And
it's
is
an
that
A.
different than this overall staffing? This is the staffing backup plan, David's prioritization of staffing, Danielle's prioritized staffing.
Yeah, I think David's looking for a full-time assessor to be hired and a finance director to be hired, right?
Yes.
So I think
I
it's,
understand that, but
I think it's different. I mean, the staffing backup plan is really a, like we were saying, like a,
oh, that was a B.
That's just a strategy, make sure you have your strategy.
although it may fall into, Doug, the FTEs at town hall, although I think actually Danielle and Mary Ellen are more in line with, you know, whether FTEs should be consolidated or reevaluated, structure. You're talking about structure of FTEs, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
Correct.
I think the both of you are. So, but on Danielle's list, we listed an A. On Mary Ellen's list, we listed a B. So where do we want to land on it?
A.
You had an A
or is
I think it's
is
an
your
A.
employee thing different?
Yeah,
Well,
mine
Mary
is
Ellen's is more the backup plan, right, and the cross-training, mine is more.
Okay,
Mine was
so-
backup and consolidation, well, I.
Well, so why don't we
everything.
call the FTEs and prioritization of staffing as an A, and then we'll call the backup succession planning B.
Mhm.
Okay. So Hawthorne, we already have on there. Financial priorities, I think, transitional audit is really also
Financial priorities.
clarity on financial status, so I think we're there together, so we can, that's an A. Town hall staff is, okay, is that, yep, that's that. The unused property review and master plan. So then if we move on to the fill-in list, it would be employee relations and morale,
Long failing list.
the financial
All 8 of Katie's A's.
stop
Yeah.
it. The financial reevaluation is already on there. The communication is already on there. See all these dupes? Select board unity and respect.
So this is financial evaluation?
Yeah.
Same thing?
Yep, and then communication calendar
Yep.
is on there, so that's the same thing. Select board unity and respect.
I'd say you were the only
You
one to
wanted that
list
as an
that.
A+.
Yes, please. Right at the top.
Chair's prerogative.
Yep, chair's prerogative.
And then do you want like should I like, is that a heart?
Oh, my
Doug,
goodness.
in our house, we say,
like an
you
apple.
speak with love and respect, or you don't speak at all. Beaches and pipes is already on there, economic development's already on there, Hadley Hawthorne, vacant properties, succession plan's already on there, so all the rest of my A's are already there. Housing Authority Master Plan. Hawthorne's already on there, Glover, is Glover?
It's on there, yeah.
Oh, Glover's there, yeah.
Yeah.
Glover's already on there, that's it.
That's it, right. Okay, well,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's not bad, guys.
Diane has all that?
What?
You have that?
Yes, I have
Okay.
All right, well, she'll take a picture
Go ahead.
anyways. So these are the top 12 priorities of the select board. And we will, obviously, there's some secondary and tertiary priorities, but, oh, there it is, living in one place. Is anybody?
Is that, do you think that's, you probably don't know all the details of all those things, but like, if we
We've
just.
had a lot of them in the last 3 days.
That makes sense, right, guys?
It's a good starting point, yeah.
Good starting point, because you feel like you're gonna need more work to do this year, like that's like.
Exactly, we'll be done by
Christmas.
2 weeks, 2-week turnaround.
Excellent, excellent.
I do want to say one thing, one point that I just thought of. This consultant that we have might be something that we utilize, or a person that we utilize to help us with this financial summit piece, right? Or maybe that's someone that's already,
It's not, that's not within their scope now, so
Okay.
it would be additional cost.
just saying,
and-
if it,
yeah,
you know,
could be.
someone that happens to be there, maybe it's somebody, because he has worked in so many towns and he has a certain
think-
perspective that maybe he could lend some,
As an informal conversation, I'd be happy to talk to him and
Yeah.
bring in anyone else at town hall that should, and any of you that want to.
just to help
Sorry.
facilitate, if
Yeah,
so. maybe
exactly.
not, but-
But I would, they are very focused on providing that professional service for communities that are in the same
Totally.
position we're in. Where
Totally,
you need sort of temporary help as opposed to
yeah,
very broad,
yeah, right,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely true.
but happy to talk to them about it.
Yeah.
But it's outside the scope right now, that's the
Yep.
only thing I would want to highlight, that funding. would
Makes
be an
perfect
issue.
sense, thank you.
Yeah, we're trying to give the most bang for the buck on the financial summit without incurring a financial cost.
Yes, yes.
So, all right, well, that feels great. Thanks for doing that exercise. It's really appreciated. By way of a suggestion, Nick, I just thought that the prior town administrator did have a list of goals, annual goals.
Yeah.
And you have that available to you? Or you can get that?
We can see.
Okay, just because
Tried to
I
find-
think there are some themes on some of that goal setting, whether or not we attain some of those goals and, you know, sort of where you can go
So, I mean,
some
just with,
direction.
this list is where I would want to start building my list of goals, so that
Yeah,
things that
right.
take
Of
a
course.
couple of years, we're still hitting
Yes.
the interim
Yeah.
steps that we need to, but
I think for,
I don't want to say in 2 weeks, but in the near term, I would like to come back and present to you all, like, starting from here. This is what we mapped out as a
Mhm.
staff that are mostly my goals, but things that I've been working with staff in
Great.
Town Holland.
Yep.
But I do need some time to get up to speed on everything before I
Of
can
course.
comfortably do that.
yeah, for sure, for sure. I'm just thinking like what, sometimes we don't know what we missed and then we're like, what, how did we miss that glaring thing? So maybe I will look, for the next meeting just to see
Yeah.
if there's anything from
Any
the
similarities or
prior,
that sticks out, yeah.
I mean, I know Diane provided our last one, but let's just check and double check so that we're being super communicative. All right, great.
Great.
Thanks, everyone. So now we move on to the approval of the consent agenda. On the consent agenda today, we have 2 new appointments for the Water Sewer Infrastructure Advisory Committee for 1-year terms, Scott Morello and Bindesh Sharesa. Discussion and possible vote to approve and accept funding on behalf of the Commissioner for Disability to purchase new benches, a vote to approve the minutes, and we also have executive minutes that are being withheld. We are on track to have biannual reviews of the executive session minutes that have not been released to the public to ensure that the reason they were not released still exists. So this is the second time we have gone through these minutes, and so we need to tell the public when we do that and that we've done that. So this is our letting you know that these executive session minutes are still being withheld for a particular reason, which has been reviewed by outside counsel. And that is the end of the consent agenda.
So I'd like you to pull out number 1, discussion and possible vote for the water and sewer. Pull out number 2, Commission on Disability, and to move the approval of the minutes to the next meeting. Because I want to just send something to Diane on the minutes.
Okay, can we?
So can we take a vote on discussion? So I would make a motion on discussion of executive session minutes withheld as listed on the agenda.
To approve.
To approve.
Second?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so you would like to table the minutes? It's not something we can do now?
Correct.
Okay, so we're tabling the minutes for 9/17, Diane, for next meeting.
Got it.
And now we will take a discussion and possible vote to approve the new appointments for water and sewer.
So on the appointments for new water and sewer, we have here 2 members, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 vacancies. And we have had an applicant, Andrea Moore, who was put in our application not once, but twice, and I would like to see her put on this committee.
Okay, I mean, we've reviewed all the applications. The chair, Kelly Beacon, has reviewed all the applicants. When this committee was founded, established maybe 18 months ago now, there were certainly some lofty goals and objectives. I think there were probably a dozen or so objectives that this committee, was going to tackle. Reality then sets in and says, all right, we're not going to be able to address all 12. We're going to be able to address, 4, 5, 6 of these goals and objectives. We are looking not only for people who are interested in being in this committee, but people who are highly qualified. We have 2 PhDs, Scott Morello and Bindesh Shrestha. We think, based upon the interviews from the with the chair of these individuals, these are the 2 individuals that have the expertise and these would be the best fit for this particular committee. We did review all the applicants, and that was the consensus of myself as well as the chair of this committee. So I'm supporting the recommendation of the chair, Kelly Began, to support her needs and wants for water sewer infrastructure.
So just want to point out that when we put this committee together, it was, the goal was to have a balanced committee and not to be all scientists or all engineers. And I also want to add that there's 1, 2, 3, 4 slots open here. We have people who want to serve, people who are proven to have done an excellent job, because you can look at 1 million different scientists and 1 million different engineers, and when you have someone who's a true advocate, who really will put it out there and try to get the word out and communicate, they make a difference. And, you know, I'm disappointed that this has taken so long to fill these spots. And I'm insisting, my opinion is Andrea Moore should be on this committee.
As far as your disappointment in this taking a long time, you know, there was, you know, this is not an appointment to the Rec Commission. This is not, you know, this committee was looking for technical expertise, and they found their technical expertise, and they found the individuals that the chair and the committee feel will be the best fit for this committee.
So I would just like to know, technically, do I need to amend the motion to add Andrea Moore in here and take a vote, or does it have to come back because it's not listed here?
Can I just ask how many applicants we had in general?
I believe there were something like, somewhere along the lines of 12.
Okay.
So there were a number of interviews, and there were a number of individuals who had conversations with the chair, and given the nature of social media and given the attacks that other members of this committee and other members of committees, in general that serve in town, have undertaken, a number of very, very highly qualified individuals decided to forego their applications to serve on this particular committee, meaning that fit is incredibly important to this particular committee and this chair. So I'm going to respect the decision of Ms. Began and respect the decision that her fellow members and her made. I mean, this was a long process. I wish we could have, filled these seats sooner. We did have a UV pilot that was ongoing. There has certainly been work that's happened behind the scenes, but it was also summertime, and people are a little harder to get in touch with in the summer. So
maybe a little bit to Mary Ellen's point. I'm not sure if she can obviously speak to that, but I'm trying to remember when we really had the last full readout from this committee. We've talked about the UV or particularly maybe the pipes. I'm trying to think about you alluded to the broad scope that would happen in the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And kind of what has happened with the committee in a sense, and what are the priorities, and that might be helpful for, at least I'd say, speak for myself, helpful for me to understand the focus on the scientific knowledge, or the people that have applied that haven't really been the fit, just to kind of understand that, mostly to get an update more broadly what they're looking at, so we're staying aware of it in light of capital planning, et cetera, that's coming. So I'm happy to support these two people here, but I think it would be helpful to me to get an update at some point soon about the broader.
Fair. And and just to that point, Scott Morello is taking over the GIS analysis that type of work, that Matt Pelland, when he resigned from the committee, he's taking that over, and Mr. Shrestha is, is a PhD, a chemist. He's going to be taking over a similar role to the former vice chair, Mr. Bockley. So those are the two.
Okay, so I have one other thought too. I just want to say, so after these two are filled, so is this accurate that there are still 4 that are alternates, they're non-voting members, or
Yeah,
they're backups?
well, right now the chair is considering whether or not they want to reduce the number of alternates that may sit on the committee. They may not be necessary at this stage.
I didn't take note of that then. That's true. It's just alternates. Okay. I mean,
Right.
does any other committee have 4 alternates? I mean-
So, so what happens,
No.
on this committee, what they do is when somebody doesn't show up, which happens a bit, an alternate is called up. And there's a number of people that are on this committee right now
That were
that were alternates and made every single meeting. There are people who have applications in, who have been at these meetings, have been at a number of these meetings, have followed all these meetings, and they would do a great job.
So is this the only committee that has this set up, where the alternates just, they randomly, if there's not one there, then an alternate can just step
No.
up at a meeting?
ZBA.
Or is this
And COMCOM
across all of our
also
committees?
has alternates, Conservation
I don't think
Commission.
they have this many alternates.
Okay,
Right.
okay, so that's an anomaly. And that's something that's decided by the chair, or is that something we?
Oh, we structured
We
it.
decided it,
Yeah.
yes, 18 months ago.
Okay, all right.
It's just when they have their meeting, it's the chair that calls, is supposed to identify who's going to vote.
Right, okay.
Mhm.
So
I
I
would say.
I just want to address, me being me, I want to address the elephant in the room, okay? Andrea Moore. We probably all know she's done a lot for Safe Kings Beach, right? She's done a lot over this past summer alone with Nahant and the testing. I don't think there is anybody who's been louder about having clean beaches in this town. Maybe, to some might say a detriment. Some might say it's kind of too much, or it's a polarizing personality. But I just want to caution that we need dissenting opinion, right? And sometimes it's not easy to work with, but sometimes, it is helpful to see another perspective. So I understand the delicate balance of a committee too, I get it. But I really don't, I hate to see a candidate or someone that wants to get involved. It's difficult when there are open seats to say, we still can't look at you because maybe you're too loud, or maybe some people think you're too loud. Some people could say that about me, I'm sure many people do. But, if they have something they can add value to what we're looking for, the ultimate goal of clean beaches, I'm not sure there's many people that have taken on the awesome task of trying to clean the beaches more so than she has.
I don't think we'd
So-
be here if she wasn't pushing.
I mean, I
hard.
think,
She and Sean did a lot of work to push, to really make this a focal point for us.
But I do understand too, and to David's point, I want to support our chairs, and it's very difficult to say to a chair that wants, that's made a decision. I don't really feel like it's the role of the liaison to step on those toes or to overstep. That's not what we're here to do either. We're kind of here to get people back to the middle and say, okay, sometimes, you might feel strongly this way, chair, you might feel strongly this way, candidate. How can we meet in the middle? How can we still make this committee fully functioning and doing what they set out to do, right? How do we do that when we have people at polar opposite ends, right? So I don't envy the position of the liaison here, I don't. It's a tough one, but I feel like that has to be said, and, it would be great if there could be some kind of compromise or some kind of open conversation where we can get everybody together and say, what is the problem here? Really, what is preventing us from getting this fully staffed with people that want to be there, right? I would love to see that. I'd love to help facilitate it if it needs to happen that way. Because I hate to see people turned away when we have what looks to me like 4 vacancies, right? And maybe it won't be 4, maybe it'll be 2, but.
To give context to the conversation that's already been had, David, I know that the path forward was to fill the 2 active seats. So, we can, I think, vote to support that. But as far as the 4 seats that are still open, was the thought to take any of those applicants to put them in those seats, or you looked at that as well? Were you just prioritizing the 2 open voting member seats, or were you not prioritizing those other vacancies. Because if the thought is like, people feel a way about a volunteer, then there's no better way than to slot them in an alternative seat and sort of
Try it
let
out.
them gain the trust of the committee
Right.
and participate. You know, like, I am trying to fill a role that Danielle is also talking about, which is to figure out some compromise, but
The prioritization was to fill the 2 roles. The chair indicated that there would be discussion at an upcoming meeting about the determination of how many alternates would be needed, with a recommendation to come back to the select board regarding that, as well as continuing to look at applications that have already been submitted, as well as new applications that come in based upon need.
yeah, I just. if
Yeah,
there were
I think
12
this is
people-
absurd.
Yeah,
I
if
really
there
do.
were
This
12
is so
people who
absurd.
applied, and there are 4 vacancies still left, I'm not sure why we would turn people away.
Well, fill these things up.
I mean, does it make sense to have the chair come and talk to us until we can understand her perspective?
Well,
I don't know.
I have to be honest, Danielle, I personally don't like having a chair. The role of the chair is not to control the whole meeting, not to control everything that's going on. It's to facilitate conversations and to make sure that a committee is working in a healthy way to get results.
I'm just gonna say that this individual has stepped up and is doing the absolute best that she can to facilitate this most important committee. So I don't believe that she should be criticized in the least. She's doing everything that she can do. She is working with her committee, and she is addressing the need to fill these spaces. If you want to have her come in and give a report, I think that would be great. Let's work with her, and we can get her on an agenda, within the next 30 days. I think that's fine. We're also going to have an update from Gino regarding the UV test. So
Well,
maybe that's something that we can.
I'm talking about staffing.
That
I'm
we
not
can
talking
look
about
at.
what they're doing. That's
Okay, but
my concern.
basically what.
But it goes together.
Yeah.
And I mean, sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah.
I mean, Andrea, there's no doubt that she's been a vital force in bringing attention to this.
Right.
She's not alone. Many other people feel extremely strongly about it as well. And that's one piece of making progress. And so I think it's, just seems to me very obvious that you need to understand what the work is ahead for the committee to understand what skills you need in order to be effective. So let's hear from the committee exactly what they see the work to be going forward. If this is about technical analysis of systems and engineering and testing, that breeds one type of candidate, right? If you need advocacy at the state level, that breeds another type of candidate. If you have something else that you're going to be prioritizing, that maybe is a different candidate. So let's hear what they have to, say about their agenda.
Well, we're already filling these roles, though.
Yeah, but I would
But
agree
we're
with
trusting
that.
the chair to understand what that
Yeah.
is. We want an update about it. We're not filling all the what are they?
Vacancies.
We're not eliminating them either, but
So?
we're giving them the opportunity to come in and to update the board, which they should be willing and. they
Well,
should be willing to
I
do.
think somebody is being punished here for being an advocate. That's what it looks like to me.
I hear that's how you feel about it, but I sincerely believe that, we do have a lot of people that have certain rationales, as I understand it, but I don't know, I've said it twice already. I just want to understand.
Well, I respect what you have to say, but I feel like somebody's being punished for being an advocate. To me, it's hysterical if we're going to say, well, somebody was active on Facebook. I mean, I know that there's a significant amount of select board members here that are a little active on Facebook, so.
I am, I'll admit.
See pictures of my kids?
So,
I would just say this, I would just caution that while we're looking for a certain skill set and experience, if we look at the makeup of this existing committee, I'm not sure that that would pass the sniff test there, right? So let's be real careful when we say things like, we're looking for science or this and that, because I mean, I'm looking at least 2 people here that don't have that background that are already on.
I mean, Charlie Patzios was
Yeah.
a connection from the
Water-
water sewer
Rate committee.
the rate committee.
Right.
That
Sure,
was,
but he doesn't have a science background.
I just think we
right?
need
but that
to
was,
About their
that was,
agenda.
that was folded,
If
that
we
was
could just-
folded into that.
But I want to stay cognizant, I also want to stay cognizant of the fact that there is one woman on this board, right? And I really want to understand that, right? I want to see that we're embracing diversity in all the ways that we say we should, right? And we're putting a mix of people with differing opinions, which is one of the things that we outlined when we revamped how we appoint people to committees, right? Because a lot of what we got from feedback was, you get something based on who you know, and that's the vibe of this town, and you have to know someone to get something. No, we want to change that, right? And that, it's painful, it's not always easy, but sometimes, and again, we might not all be experts in that. If this is something that, we can't cultivate, or we can't help forward, or we can't help progress on this committee, then maybe there's somebody else here that can. Maybe, I don't know, maybe Katie wants to facilitate discussion around this committee if maybe I would volunteer to do it in a minute and see if we can get people together and on the same page. I want to be really, I support them both. I would not support them. I think it's great. I would like to see the chair, though, in front of us and really explain her rationale here, and I want to be honest and open about it. I don't think there's any reason for us to pretend like this doesn't exist, and, there's a very valid question about someone who's applied and feels like they're being snubbed. So let's ask the question and let's get the answer and see what comes of it. But I'm happy to support these 2. I think they're certainly qualified, right?
Yeah,
I have no hesitancy.
I mean, I know it came up as a conversation about one particular volunteer, but it's
Yeah.
really about 9 or 10 other volunteers that would
Yeah.
like to participate. It's not just about one.
No.
Well, like, the whole idea of who you know, like,
Yeah.
that's also a double-edged sword, right? So we have somebody that we're advocating for because,
That's the only
they've
one we know of,
advocated for
right.
the beaches, and that doesn't mean that those 9 other people aren't
Exactly.
also valid to fill these alternate positions
Right.
and are due the same
Consideration.
process and consideration, and maybe they have, and I'm not saying that they haven't, but if there are spots open, like, I don't want to turn people away.
Right.
We are constantly asking for more and more support, and I think we can't be turning people down because they'll never apply again. All right, we have one shot sometimes to engage community, and this could be one shot, and now we are losing this person for a long period of time. So I just want to be cognizant of that.
I'm really not comfortable with having the chair, I think having the chair come in and defend why they're not putting a particular person on a committee.
I don't think that's the
That's not the
conversation is
conversation
more
at all.
about alternatives and whether that's an
Right, I'm-
appropriate
I'm
amount.
good with that.
And the,
Yes.
and the
scope of the
the scope of the committee
Yes.
and how
I
the.
totally agree with you. It's
and how-
inappropriate
And
to
how
have-
everything has, and how the committee started, what the goals and objectives were then.
Right.
What the goals and objectives are now, what they've seen now that they've been working for 18 months. I think that's valid, but I agree, to call out someone on one
No.
particular decision or
Yes.
thought process is
Yeah,
inappropriate.
and yeah.
And I don't feel like this is punishment either. I want to go on the record and say that. I don't really think that's the case. I don't agree with that piece of it. Right, it's not my personal view. I don't think that. I really.
No, it's probably been 6 months since
Yeah.
they've been in front of us.
Right, so, motion to
Motion.
support.
Oh,
Second.
All those in favor of
Aye.
appointing
Aye.
Scott,
Morello.
Mr. Morello, and Mr.
Shrestha.
Shrestha?
Aye.
Aye.
So I'm a no. I'm a no with appointing anyone on a committee without having all the information out there, without having the alternates. And this thing with Andrea Moore, who has applied twice, and I feel that this is political, I'm very unhappy about this, so I am a no.
All right, moving on to the final item, which is, if I go back,
Oh, the disability?
discussion and possible vote to approve accepting funds on behalf of the Commission on Disability to purchase new benches.
I have 2 questions on that, is,
I don't know who you're going to ask them to, but we will do our best to answer. them,
well, I
Mary Ellen.
think, I don't, where?
There was a memo, there's a memo in the packet.
Yeah, hold on a minute. So on this memo here, I'm not sure, so the whole idea is to just set up a separate line item to collect the funds?
Did you,
And we
wait,
don't
was this
have this
reviewed
line
with,
item already?
did we review this with Patrick that we even have to approve this? Because when we had a similar conversation recently for the Historic Commission, he said Select Board doesn't need to approve it.
So Patrick consulted Bill, our town accountant consultant.
Yep.
And he asked that they request that we do this just to keep it all formal, and so he has no.
So do we also need to do it for the Historic?
Well, you mean that, the thing that's live
Yeah.
right now? That's different.
Okay.
That's about,
We don't have to get into it now, but if it's different, I believe you.
because Save the Glover is not a town committee. Save the Glover is, or historic.
Yeah, why don't we get all the facts
We'll
before
stick
we,
with this
yeah,
and then,
yeah,
what that looks
So on this one here, the concern that I have is for immediate purpose to collect funds for installation of benches throughout the town. Who is gonna decide on where the benches go and, like, we already have a process on where these things go?
I don't know if we have a process, but
We do.
if I could jump
Go ahead.
in that, the
Please.
donor recognition and the timeline that is attached to that is something I would like the opportunity to make recommendations to the board.
Okay.
Because if you pay for the first time something's installed and then we take on future care maintenance, we can never engage a future donor. We can never replace something with outside funds again. We're just taking on an expensive
liability.
perpetuity.
Yeah.
Right.
And so this is something that I have some experience with from DCR, that it turns into.
So we should be
That's
rethinking
my
this?
bench or our bench. I
Right.
don't know that we need to rethink. I want to make sure that the recognition part of it is something that I at least come to you guys with recommendations. You all can tell me that
Right.
I'm wrong. It's fine, but I would want to be thoughtful about that, because otherwise we run into the idea that it's just a line of benches like you see in Castle Island, and they're all a family or a name or an individual that is important to the community or someone.
Right.
And when they need to be replaced, that then becomes our liability.
Right.
And it's no longer that it's an investment that's made because it was important to an individual,
Right.
this spot was important to them. It just becomes a memorial to that person as opposed to their family is helping to support this place that was special to them.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, the other topic that's come up with these benches is,
How many more benches do we need?
um,
Because I think Gino brought that up. He's brought that up in prior meetings, like, if a bench is the appropriate way to be doing this, can we offer other ways that we can be helping the community? How many more benches does this
I'm gonna
community need?
guess though disability is bringing this up because these are areas that would help with people when they're out and about. We do need,
There's a listing, I don't know.
yeah, it's on
Yeah,
that
second,
page
yeah,
there.
second
But the other thing is, for example, we have benches that are popping up we have benches that are existing that have a nice little plaque that says this is in,
Mhm.
memorial to whoever. And then next to it, we have a bench, it looks like a billboard, we're starting to come out of compliance of any kind of unity of what we look like, so.
There are similar questions for what I'm suggesting
Okay.
to be addressed.
Great.
So, should we just put this on hold until,
Well, I mean, all we're looking to do is open an account.
Right.
That allows us to receive monetary donations. So I think we can approve that, and within the
Yep.
next,
We'll have a conversation about what those
Well,
donations will be used
how
for.
to, yeah.
Okay.
where they can
Yep.
be located. So
Okay.
I think that's.
Do
the
they have to
intent
be,
here.
but do we have to say they're utilized for benches? Are they open to, maybe you can't answer this, but
That's a good.
The purpose is to collect funds for the installation of benches throughout town.
Right.
That's the purpose. All we're trying to do right now is receive monetary donations. I think we can open the account, and we can say we're looking into this, and we'll have some additional information within the next 30 days.
Yeah, and I think it says there's commitments, so if we come up with a policy or an idea of how we would like to manage this going forward and
share those with
we share it with the donors, they may agree or disagree, and the commitment never has to become a donation.
So we're explicitly not agreeing to the stated purpose at this point.
We're
just opening a bank
allowing-
account for them.
Yes.
No, I think if
I think we have to state a purpose.
the stated purpose is fine, their commitments, we have no check in hand. We can let the 8 that are referenced in this memo know that we are just, as quickly as possible, looking at how we want to do this going forward in a way that's sustainable for the community and for the people that are making these investments in spots that are important to them or their families. And then the commitment will either mature into a donation or it won't. But that way you all have taken the step necessary to accept those
Yep.
in whatever form.
Where
we
does the
finally
money
come
go,
out.
where's the money go now?
I'm in day 3. I can't.
Oh.
Sorry.
Sorry, you're doing such a great job, I feel like you've been here
That's a
forever.
great answer.
But
Doug, the,
Find out, though.
It's
As
going
I told
somewhere
you,
now.
I can
The
find out.
fourth paragraph does say that the account may also be used in the future to support additional projects and initiatives undertaken by Swampscott Commission on Disability.
I would
So
feel
let-
comfortable keep it general.
Yeah, I would just
Bank
keep it
account for
general.
Commission on Disability
For
purposes.
additional projects and
TBD.
initiatives, TBD.
Yeah.
So I agree with that.
All right.
Is that a
Somebody-
motion?
What?
That's a motion.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, wonderful. All right, now we move on to select board time.
What's yours?
I never remember what I was going to say by the time the end of the night comes.
Put it right down.
I know, I'm getting old. I'm not going first. I gotta think.
You are going first, go ahead. Because you said you weren't, now you are.
Yeah, no, what do I have this week? Jeez.
I'll go first.
Go ahead, Doug, thank you.
I have nothing.
Neither do I.
Oh, neither do you. Mary Ellen? You always have a list?
Yeah, I have my little, so I just want to remind everybody, but I don't have my notes, what I'm reminding people of.
About the Fix-It Clinic.
Okay.
Cafe.
Oh, my
The
phone
Repair
died, so I
Cafe.
can't even pull it up.
Uh,
Diane, do you have it in front of you, the Repair Cafe?
I don't, I emailed it to,
Oh, wait, Nick's gonna get it. He's on top of it.
Nick.
it is, I think, October 25th at the Senior Center.
But people have to sign up.
People have
So
to
it's-
sign up
it's a
by
Repair
the-
Cafe, so if you have broken items.
Yep.
So I actually talked to them at the booth about it. So it's not just broken items. It's like if you need your suit coat mended, or if you
Clothing,
can't
textiles.
figure out
Yep.
how to use your remote control, or
There you
you
go.
you've messed up the lock screen on your iPhone. There's lots of things that can happen in this repair clinic. So it's not like bring your blender and they're going to help you fix it. Although they could, that's not the only reason. Repaired string instruments, or if you sign up and let them know, they'll try to find you an expert to help do the thing you need help with. So it's trying to help, reduce, reuse, recycle, as I used to say when I was a kid. So the repair services are free of charge. The repairs are obviously not guaranteed. Please bring a spare part if you know that it's needed, so that, because obviously we won't have just like a box of parts. And appointments are required. You can scan the QR code that is available on the town website, or you can click the link to make it. It is Saturday, October 25th at the Senior Center. It's from 9 a.m. to noon, and you must make appointments, I believe, by the 20th or the 22nd, in order for
22nd.
them to have the appropriate expert to help you. And this is a program that's put on, I was speaking to Wayne and Alex at the farmer's market this past week, and it's been wildly successful in neighboring communities like Salem and I think Danvers or Linfield. And so, they saw it happening and they mimicked it here, and hopefully it will be wildly successful here.
We also have the pumpkin toss on 11/9, so please mark your calendar. And the Solid Waste Committee is working on the trash RFP, and they'll be coming in to meet with Nick to lend a hand there. The Board of Assessors is working on getting all their information together for setting the tax rate, so we can set the tax rates. And that's pretty much it. Retirement's just working on the retirement stuff, just making decisions on.
Retirement's retired.
They're retirement, but they're making decisions on who they're gonna use for consultants. And I also, I wanna thank the Recreation Commission for making adjustments last week. So we've just come through the high holidays, the Jewish high holidays. And on Rosh Hashanah, there were 3 committees that had meetings on Rosh Hashanah. And when the Recreation Commission realized that they were having a meeting, they adjusted right away just to be supportive and not to interfere. And I think that it's really important in a community, we're in a community where we have a large Jewish population. I think it's really important in the fall that we identify when these holidays are. These are high holidays, they're just not average holidays, and that we respect that, and we do not have committee meetings on those dates. I mean,
You know what will help? A townwide calendar.
when we have our townwide calendar.
Communications, we block those dates right off.
So I just, I know it really put them out, and I really appreciate their hard work, so. And before I finish, I want to
Who's up in
say
the booth?
thank you to the boys in the booth, Nathan Kent, Nate Beischheimer, Alexander Perez, and Mr. Joel Dulett. Thank you.
I just have one thing now, I remembered what it was. Pirate Bike School came to Swampscott a couple weeks ago, taught my 5-year-old how to ride a bike in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I spoke to the owner, Peter Conway, who told me he is in high demand and he was fully booked here for the 2-day workshop in 10 seconds. And he told me that he chose Swampscott because of what he felt was a very organized recreation department. He made a connection with Charlotte, and that is what led him to come here as opposed to Needham, Newton, and Wellesley.
What is it called?
It is called Pirate School, and it is it teaches kids how to ride a bike. And he wants to bring his program here because he focuses on children with special needs, as well as low-income children that can't normally afford a bike lesson. And we've had some very generous people in the town volunteer to chip in and actually bring a bigger program to town for those two populations. And it's incredible what he can do. In 15 minutes, he got my 5-year-old riding a bike who was never able to pedal with this mother teaching him. Kudos, Pirate Bike School, Pete Conway. Thank you for coming to Swampscott, and thank you to Rec for getting him here. So that was my big win for the week.
That is a big win.
And welcome to Nick Connors.
Thank you.
Congrats on your
Yes.
first meeting.
Yes.
Welcome, Nick. You made it.
Thank
Motion
you.
to adjourn.
Second.
That's okay. I'll go ahead.
sorry.
No, we've already seconded. Let's just vote. Let's move on.
Aye.
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 Thank you, guys.
Thanks.